Jonathan Taylor, there he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. I-N-D-Y.
The Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Daily Rosenquist, he wins the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
Now, finally talking, I guess, some football. I don't want to make too much out of it. 1 hour practice on day one, but nonetheless, it's better than anything we've witnessed here over the last 7 months or so. Good Thursday morning to you, live from the Droplight Grand Park campus. Day 2 of Colts training camp is here. I'm Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, alongside on-site engineer Cam. Thank you very much for getting us set up and going here. Hello to everybody on the YouTube stream on this Thursday morning. Again, 10 a.m. today, 10 a.m. tomorrow. I always love, James, sun, left shoulder, moon over there to the right.
Yeah, we got a nice little setup here, I think, where you get a little scenic here this morning, so I'll take it.
Is Uranus still a planet?
Did we go over this like last week?
Or is it Pluto that has dropped off?
I'm not sure at this point. I think you got to ask Rosie or Max. They're probably getting taught the planets in school. I kind of just remember the ones that I was taught 15 years ago, KB.
Pluto is still a planet for me because Pluto was a planet when I was growing up. So I'm like, I learned it in school. I'm still considering it, but I think for some reason, they took the distinction off of it.
That might be the oldest thing Mark Dykton's ever said. Well, when I learned it in my day, it was a thing, so it's still a thing.
Well, he went to school, uphill both ways.
Well, with the kids back in school yesterday, I was like, back in my day, we didn't go to school till after, like, Labor Day weekend. And they're like, you sound old.
That
like,
I will agree
old.
with. Again.
Thank you, Mark Dykton. I hope the Dykton family had a great first day at school. We were chatting with P1 listener Alex yesterday. He's got some kids in the Brownsburg district as well. So, again, it's always something I enjoy about coming here to camp. Brad, Good Jimmy, our Toledo crew that makes an annual appearance out here. Today looks to be another awesome day weather-wise. Same thing with tomorrow. So, again, continuing on these morning practices in week 1, in James Daniel Jones, a full participant yesterday in the starting reps. What did you make of number 17 getting his first 11-on-11 action of the 2026 offseason?
I thought number 17 looked like he was never injured. There were a couple of plays he probably wishes he had back as far as an accuracy standpoint. But overall, movement-wise, KB, I got to give him credit for the work he's put in. I got to give credit to modern medicine because I don't know if you feel the same way, but I thought he looked a lot more fluid than he did in the spring.
Yeah, and I also think it's to me, it is something that the fact the Colts are willing to call rollout plays with him on day one, the fact that Shane Steichen had no reaction negatively when he did scramble Daniel Jones. Daniel did joke. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know if he was joking. He said he was curious when he got back to the huddle, would Shane say anything about his scramble? But he didn't. So, like, the fact that on July 30th, I mean, we're still a month and a half away from the season starting.
Yeah.
The fact that you're willing to put him into those environments, I think, is a positive sign. So, to your point, yeah, there was, maybe a hair bit of throwing rust. In general, I think the personnel probably has a little bit more to do with that, and something we can
we'll
get into
that for sure
here on this Thursday morning. But day 1 of camp came and went. Seemed to be a pretty good day in the health department, and we've got a lot to chat about. Fever, I think it's tomorrow, right? I heard the morning update. That game's tomorrow, right, in Portland?
Yes, they play tomorrow in Portland.
Not tonight there, so just want to make sure we clear that up if you caught that right before things started. And, Mark, I know we did this late in the show yesterday, but nothing more on the local TV viewing for the Indiana Pacers coming up here this season. We heard the report about potentially the streamer DAZN, but nothing more official on that as the day moved along. Is that correct?
Not that I've noticed, no. Just that they're close to a possible local rights deal for several NBA teams, but nothing as far as anything official.
Yeah, and again, a lot I think we can get to off of that here as we potentially have an answer on how the Pacers will be viewed here in our market coming up this season. So again, day 2 of Colts training camp is here. One thing to note on this Thursday, we'll see if Kurt Signetti's feeling himself at all up in Chicago. You think Sig's going to drop the mic at Big Ten Media Day?
I don't. I think Sig has matured. But drop the mic, do you mean just take a little dig at the SEC or like day one Kurt Signetti, I just got hired?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be like WWE day one Kurt Signetti just got hired, to be clear, but I think he's got to take a shot at the SEC. It's kind of sitting on a platter for him.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, I get like, hey, we're on to year 3, and this is a different football team. I understand. Like, you're a month away from the season starting, but still, he's Kurt Signetti.
Yeah.
Did you see his most recent tweet?
I did not. Was it a retweet? He's like a quote tweeter, retweeter guy. Gets the fan base all riled up.
Kurt Signetti with a retweet of longtime college football cover Brett McMurphy. The tweet said, in the last 3 years, the college football playoff records versus the other Power 4 conferences. So we're talking college football playoffs, the records within those games. The Big Ten's 9-3. The ACC is 3-3. The SEC is 2-7. The Big 12 is 0-3. An asterisk to the Big Ten winning 3 national titles. So he's feeling himself on social media a little.
He definitely is, yes.
Now the question becomes, will the words back it up? So Kurt Signetti, Bones Jones, the linebacker, Carter Smith, the left tackle, Tyreek Tucker, your defensive tackle, those 4, I guess, with Signetti up in Chicago today for Media Day. Yeah, I mean, I thought all in all a pretty status quo first practice. We continue to see a splitting of the reps, or at least Shane Steichen's words. It's day one, so you technically can't split the reps. Riley Leonard got a hair more with the second team than Anthony Richardson did yesterday. Jonathan Taylor practiced. Jonathan Taylor's comments after practice, did those stand out to you in regards to his contract in any way, shape, or form?
A little bit. One, I thought it was hilarious that he basically told Mike Chappell, the dean, Fox 59, to talk to ownership for him. He told him, hey, you got some cachet around here, which he does. The media room is named after Mike Chappell. But jokes aside, I thought it sounded a lot less standoffish and contentious than it did a few years ago when JT was going through his first contract negotiation. And he said that there's been some positive discussions and things are moving in the right direction. So I guess the question now becomes, will that actually lead to a new deal for number 28, who I believe is deserving of a deal, but also I understand from a team perspective, he is a 27-year-old running back, so the way you structure that deal might be how this thing actually gets done. I don't foresee them giving him a 3 or 4 year deal at this stage in his career, but perhaps a 2-year deal, or you bump this year's salary up and then you tack on an extra year to his deal, something in the middle where they can find that middle ground to keep him with the Colts for at least a short-term future.
Yeah, right now around the league, I think you're seeing Bijan Robinson in Atlanta and I believe Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. I think both of them are doing what JT did a few off seasons ago.
But they're 2 years away, which is even crazier to me.
So, yeah, they're on the rookie deals.
Yeah.
And they were first-round picks, unlike JT. JT was, in the middle of round 2. So they have a 5th-year option on those contracts there. So, again, their leverage situation, their desire to get to a second contract, I think is a little bit different there if you're trying to kind of compare that. A couple of interesting personnel notes defensively we can get to yesterday. And I just thought that final period of the day, it's something I want to hit on a few times today, James. And again, we can get into the personnel, but, a few months back I wrote something on 1075thefan.com, and I mentioned to you and Mark of, to me, there is one position group right now that in recent years I would never have thought it was an elite position group for the Colts. But I think it has the chance to be that. And again, we do need to factor in the personnel they're going up against. But if you were out here at Grand Park yesterday, the final team period of the day, I don't think Daniel Jones completed a pass.
Yeah.
And that is very unusual for a quarterback to go through an entire period. I think Jones threw 3 or 4 passes and didn't complete one. And a big reason why 2 of those passes were not completed was because Travarius Ward and Sauce Gardner look like the all-pro corners that they have on their resume. So, again, that is the, when we had the question on Monday or Tuesday, hey, what gets you excited about this Colts season? I think Jonathan Taylor, I think Tyler Warren, I think those are rather, obvious ones. But, again, if that cornerback duo, Ward and Gardner, who we really only saw together for one game last season in Kansas City, and they limited Patrick Mahomes for large chunks of that game without their offense giving a whole lot of support. If they can replicate a semblance of what we saw in that final team period yesterday, that's an element of this football team that I think could be special, frankly. And obviously they will face much stiffer wide receiver challenges, but still, that was a glimpse of what could be there with that cornerback duo.
Definitely. I thought one of the plays of the day, Kevin, was when Sauce Gardner broke up a pass from Daniel Jones to Josh Downs. And normally Josh is winning when it comes to like those short kind of out routes or short intermediate routes because he's such a twitchy slot receiver. But then you see Sauce just blanking him and basically break up the pass and then walk over Josh like, hey, I'm the top dog here. And then you also saw, I know you talked about some of the receiver depth maybe lacking a little bit, but early on throughout some of the team periods, Daniel Jones tried to hit Laquan Treadwell on a sideline pass, and it was a hair inside, and that hair nearly led to Travarius Ward picking him off. And he was flexing and things like that. So it was a good sign for that duo, and in particular with Travarius Ward. I know he's getting up there in age. I'm curious because even last year, Kevin, he had a couple of rest days built in. Will we see him back out of here today? But for him to just kind of be in this mind state, hopefully in a better place mentally after everything he's been through from a non-football standpoint, it was good to see him make some plays.
Individual drills for DeForest Buckner, a good sign there. We await kind of his reintegration to the teamwork, but still the fact that he is practicing off of that neck surgery, certainly in the positive mold. Looking forward to sharing, and I think we're going to play this coming up at 8 o'clock, the conversation we had yesterday. And this is typically how camp will unfold for us. We will record an interview with a player after practice. I believe we're recording with Sauce Gardner today after practice, and then again we'll air those, I guess, not even re-air, but air those for you the following day. So yesterday after practice we caught up with Mo Alie-Cox, and James, he kind of falls a little bit in that Josh Downs category earlier in the week of just a dude I enjoy talking to. I think he's very candid. I think he's got a good personality. On and off the field, you can talk to him about a variety of things. We got our Colts basketball starting five out of him, and of course, he would be a representative of that starting five. It's obviously a hell of a story that a guy that didn't play college football is now going on nearly a decade in this league, and he's the longest tenured offensive player for the Colts. So a variety of things we hit on with Mo, but we'll play that upcoming for you at 8 o'clock.
Grade A human, and you know this, Kevin. Whenever there is a big Colts moment, particularly when they win a game, you go find Mo because he's going to give you the quote that helps with your story. All the other guys might give you some of that, coach speak or team before me. He will give you some color, some animation, and definitely he will hype up his teammates who are having great seasons. So, for example, last year, halfway through it, JT was obviously balling, and Mo, who was, I think, a big part of that with all the blocking that he did, would give us a lot more of the behind the scenes of how maybe JT really feels about trying to be MVP and trying to be first team All-Pro and all those things, whereas JT is just going to, deflect a little bit. So I like the color, the realness that Mo Alie-Cox provides. And, yeah, he had some interesting basketball takes when it came to his starting five here with the Colts.
Now, did I see yesterday a Mo Alie-Cox teammate fire off a tweet your way? A former Mo Alie-Cox teammate, to be clear?
He did. I figured we'd get into this on the show. See, now I didn't expect when I posted the video, shout out to Cam Blankenship, our on-site engineer, for taking the video of me running the 40.
No, I told Cam as soon as you got up, we need some footage of that.
I actually got the guy that did the timer for me to videotape it as well. So I guess we were both on the same page. But nevertheless, one ghost reached out to me and told me, hey, you got to do it again.
Ooh. It's a little T.Y. Hilton action yesterday?
A little T.Y. Hilton action.
Man.
Shout out to the former Colts great.
Do you feel like you have more in you? 5.47?
I think so.
Okay.
I feel like if T.Y. Hilton tells me, hey, clean up the start a little bit, get out of the box a little faster, I got to take him up on this. So the plan, KB, is to run my last 40 here at Droplight Grand Park on the last day of Colts training camp, perhaps here at Grand Park in August. So I feel like that'd be the fun way to end it off.
Look at that. Shane Steichen calls the team over potentially to watch James Boyd.
I wouldn't mind it.
Put the track shoes on. 4.34 was one T.Y. Hilton back at his
I'm
Florida
not touching that.
International.
I did ask him if
Pro
I
Day.
borrow some of your speed. I think he can still probably get moving a little bit.
Yeah.
But now he's like, we're getting older because his son is now the next prospect coming up to be
Wisconsin,
pretty good.
Wisconsin, Notre Dame.
Yeah, Eugene, if I'm not
Week
mistaken.
1 at Lambeau Field. Very much looking forward to that Sunday of Labor Day weekend.
You got to lose the credential, James. I think that slowed you down. The wind caught it and slowed down
Yeah.
your drag time.
People told me, I don't know if it dragged me a full second or something like that.
But you did turn it around backwards, right?
Yeah, but I think that was just natural. You know, you get to running or whatever, and maybe I'll take the glasses off, can't be as cool. Got to get down to my three-point stance. There's a lot of different tips I got from people around the NFL world, but I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'm glad you all seriously got a kick out of me making a clown of myself.
We are looking forward to sharing the tidbits from practice yesterday, and so we will do that throughout the show. Coming up today, again, looks to be a really, really nice day here in Westfield. It's the same schedule today as it was yesterday. Gates are going to open up at 9 o'clock right here, and then the first practice, or I should say the second practice of camp, will commence at 10 o'clock, 10 to 11 today, 10 to 11:15 tomorrow, and then 4 o'clock on Saturday. Good Thursday morning to you. Thank you for starting it with us. It is the Fan Morning Show live here in Westfield. Colts camp underway. Indoor, outdoor concrete. That is Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Honestly, just go to the website. I mean, you're probably not really going to want to work too hard today. So stop by galaxyconcretecoatings.com. You'll see pictures. You'll see styles available to you. And I think a lot of it, you're going to find something that makes sense for your home, for your workplace. A couple questions I had. Okay, is there any sort of warranty? Yes, manufacturers actually upgraded that warranty from 15 years to lifetime. Other question I had, hey, what would the installation process look like? I mean, you are doing a lot of work outside of my home. Is that going to be a hassle? Really wasn't. 24 hours was the process. Tyler and Preston on site did really, really good work there for a new sidewalk and a new front porch. Again, this is Galaxy Concrete Coatings, indoor and outdoor concrete. So that's garages, basements, patios, porches, and sidewalks. The best in the business, it's galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
checked out. Brought to you by Bet365 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Life here at the Droplight Grand Park campus starting to become a thing. Day 2 of Colts training camp is about to get underway. Colts City being set up right now. The field's being prepared. 9 o'clock, gates are going to open. 10 o'clock, an hour-long practice here again on day 2. James Boyd, let's remove the quarterbacks. Any grand takeaways from you yesterday?
I would say it was pretty significant to look at Bryce Betcher take a lot of first-team snaps, I thought, at linebacker for this group. We know that C.J. Allen is sidelined right now with a calf strain, so I was kind of wondering who would be a part of that starting linebacker unit. And like yesterday, it was the rookie, again, Bryce Betcher out of Oregon, and Akeem Davis-Gaither, the veteran that previously played under Lou Anarumo, the Colts defensive coordinator.
Yeah, Betcher, 4th-round pick, led the Big Ten in tackles last year. For those that don't know his full story, he actually was a Major League Baseball draft pick, 13th round from the Houston Astros a couple of years ago. Walked onto the football team out there at Oregon and became one of their more important players. So they certainly love the intensity that he brings and obviously a lot of the work ethic areas for sure. So we'll see how that linebacker rotation plays out. They rotated a lot, but yeah, Betcher, Davis-Gaither looked to be more the signal caller yesterday, which is something I was curious about without C.J. Allen. A few more defensive notes that I want to get to here as we move along on this Thursday morning. Fever in action coming up tomorrow night. They'll get back to practice today. It is Portland. Portland's what, middle of the pack team?
Yes.
Nothing too notable about them?
No, I do think that they have the tendency or have the ability to score a lot of points, but they actually lost one of their top players, Sarah Ashley Barker, who's out, I think, with a torn ACL. So that's a big blow for them. But nevertheless, I always think that the Fever have entertaining games, Kevin, because although they can score it a lot, they can't really defend all that well. Still, you know, I'd like to see a little bit better defense. Maybe that changes if Aaliyah Boston is available. But I say all that to say, I think teams tend to have good days offensively against the Fever.
The Fever tweeted this out yesterday. It's quite impressive. During their recent win streak here, what is it? Is it 4 games?
Yes.
The win streak? Caitlin Clark averaging 30.3 points. She's shooting over 50% from the floor and 3, which I think that is worth pointing out. You know, I don't know. Well, I should know that a lot of people follow Caitlin Clark very, 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 very closely.
Who?
But she has not been shooting it to that level. So north of 50% in both of those areas, along with, of course, 8 assists. Kelsey Mitchell in that win streak, averaging 28.5 points per game. She also over 50% from the field and 50% from behind the arc. So not only high volume scoring from those two, but some high efficiency as well. So again, Fever in Portland coming up tomorrow, and then they got the best team in the league in Minnesota. First time they've seen the Lynx this season on Friday. You get walked off last night, Mark Dykton?
Oh, God. It was disgusting. PCA had a go-ahead 2-run homer in the top of the 10th, and then the Cubs bullpen just blew the game in particular. And, Cardinals walked it off. It was disgusting, but that's okay. We've still taken 2 of the first 3. We can hopefully take the series today. But, yeah, I told Alex Golden, I was like, your Cardinals suck. He's like, well, they didn't suck last night. I'm like, it's because the Cubs bullpen sucks too. So occasionally, water finds its level, but gross by the Cubs bullpen blowing that game.
Gosh, yesterday was such peak sports by you. Just peak sports fandom. I mean, you literally took a dump on the Cardinals for 3 hours. I mean, you look like one of these you look like one of these porter potties up here after a day of Colts training camp. I mean, you dumped all over them. You're on top of the world after the PCA home run, and then the baseball god said, you know what, Mark Dykton, how dare you do that? Watch me wag my finger right here. Alex Golden just now dancing all over you today.
That's okay. His team's still well below 500. I have faith that my team will get it done. His team still stinks. My team's bullpen stinks, so it's okay.
I don't know if this is the best transition, but you care to describe the level of dump Curt Cignetti will take on the SEC today when he gets to the podium at Big Ten Media Days?
You seem to think that that's going to happen. I don't think it's really going to happen. I'll give it a scale of 1 to 10 on the dump scale. I'll give it a 3.
3. Okay. It's probably the last time I need to be making any more dump analogies and making you expand on that. Okay. That's fair.
I think he's going to let it rip a little bit. He's been bottled up for a few months now.
okay.
I think he's got some thoughts.
Okay. So, you know, maybe you had some Long John Silvers the night before, or are you talking about that?
Give me a 7.5
that sort of dump, Mark?
I'll go to dump at a 7.5.
Okay, yeah. We hope those people are behind you in the old porta potty line. Tyreek Tucker, Carter Smith, and who else? Bones Jones, I think the third player up there for Media Days. Chicago, as Big Ten Media Days come to a close today. Speaking of the Big Ten, Purdue rounded out their foreign trip up in Canada, 4-0 for the Boilers. Seemingly they had a new lineup and new leading scorers every single game. I think we could probably get used to that with so much newness and just balance, frankly. Jacob Weber, the sharpshooter, played at La Lumiere last year. He shot it great last night, had 21 for the Boilers. So, again, a little bit different having to look up the roster for Purdue, but Matt Painter, I assume that foreign tour was very beneficial for him and Darren DeVries as they have a lot of newness to their makeup. Coming up on the other side, what did we witness yesterday at Colts camp? We haven't spoken about Anthony Richardson. I guess we should share maybe what him and Riley Leonard did on day one of camp. Again, practice underway coming up 10 a.m. today. Mark Dykton, the weather looks great. What do we got for a weather update?
Sunshine continues across the area for today. Should be a beautiful afternoon. We'll keep it dry and seasonal, a high at 86. And tonight, clear skies, another quiet evening, very pleasant with a low tonight, down to 66. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Jim O'Brien for The Fan.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
Let's go. Mark Dykton here on a Thursday. Thank you, as always, for the excellent re-entries. Mo Alie-Cox, we'll play that for you upcoming 8 o'clock. We chatted with him yesterday after practice. We asked him his basketball starting five. Take the Colts 90-man roster, make a basketball starting five out of it. The man didn't even name a dude that played college basketball last year.
Should we have reminded him? Did we remind him?
No, I just kind of wanted to let him go. Yeah, I didn't want to try to offer any names. He was scouring the practice field.
We wanted it to be authentic.
Right. I mean, he's the one that's played in the NCAA tournament. He's the one that played for Shaka Smart. He's the accomplished college basketball player there. So always enjoy talking with Mo. It's a hell of a story, and got into a little bit of Tyler Warren and kind of what makes him unique. Maybe a slight, subtle little jab at Jack Doyle, which I had to chuckle at.
I think you're instigating, KB.
Well, yeah, it was
a little bit.
I was kind of hoping that P1 listener Jack Doyle will catch that on his Thursday morning here. So we'll play that upcoming for you here at 8. And frankly, Tyler Warren was pretty active to start camp yesterday. A couple of early catches from one Daniel Jones.
Yeah, he had one over the middle for about 20 yards. That was exactly what he wanted to see from him, from that unit. And KB, he's a game changer. He's somebody who, quite honestly, I don't really need to see him do a whole lot out here because he's proven it already on Sundays. I remember last year around this time, during their night practice, Kevin, he had an incredible catch, one-handed catch, and we were all kind of thinking after that, boy, he could be a playmaker. And like I said, it showed up when it mattered the most. I do think a healthy Daniel Jones will definitely kind of correlate with his production. So if he can stay healthy, I think a lot of the movement stuff that Tyler Warren can do, lining up all over the field, can help this offensive time.
Speaking of night practice, 1 week from tonight, right?
Yes, we'll be out here. I think it's an 8 p.m. kickoff. I was going to say tip-off. I've been covering a lot of Fever games, but it'll be a little kickoff action, I guess, for us out here. Looking forward to that. And I think last year, Kevin, they had a drone show and some other things going on. So if you have a chance to make it out, I would encourage you all to do so.
And then 2 weeks from tonight, Foxborough, preseason opener, as crazy as that sounds, coming up here 2 weeks from tonight. Let's go with what you're just saying there, and you talk about the movement. Jimmy asked me this after practice yesterday.
Good Jimmy?
No, this is not Good Jimmy. I do enjoy chatting with Good Jimmy a whole lot, but no, this is
this is bad Jimmy.
Well, what's the other Jimmy that we had? Mark, Training Camp Jimmy? Was that the other one?
Yeah,
he was kind of a volatile character.
I haven't heard from him in a while. He might have unearthed him all of a sudden, but yeah, there was a Good Jimmy, and then there was Training Camp Jimmy, and they were very different people.
Have you ever heard Training Camp Jimmy?
I have not heard of Training Camp Jimmy.
He was a loose cannon. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Toward you or toward the team?
Just with takes in general, I guess, towards us. But yeah, he was.
We can always use a take here on the radio.
Yeah. Training Camp Jimmy, if you'd like, 317-239-1070. This a separate Jimmy, but a big time listener. But he asked, I thought a good and simple question about Daniel Jones. Would you say that he moved yesterday as if you didn't know there was an injury?
I would say that he moved without looking like he'd ever been injured. That was my assessment. I know some people might think I'm hyping it up, but I really have no reason to. I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you about what I'm seeing. And I thought he looked more fluid and more confident in his movements than in the spring, KB. And really the scramble kind of confirmed it for me. He didn't fully step on the gas. He's not trying to dive for the first down. And, of course, nobody's going to really come near him once he gets out of the pocket. But the fact that he was able to kind of accelerate a little bit and look like normal Daniel Jones run out of bounds, although that was a good sign for him in his progress. And to be fair to Daniel, he really didn't run a whole lot last year as far as rushing the ball. I think what was missing when he got injured initially with the fractured fibula was the fact that he wasn't able to be mobile in the pocket and outside of it, but not just as a straight line runner for first downs.
Yeah, I mean, he did have the one game, and you know, it ended up being the last win for the Colts, where his scrambles were huge in Germany in beating the Atlanta Falcons. I know you brought it up a lot, that third and 20, where he scrambles for 18 or 19 yards and sets up the fourth and short that he converts to Tyler Warren. Without that play, you know, you probably are not leaving Germany as a winner there. So, again, to me, James, the willingness to attempt that, I know he's wearing a red jersey, and I know he knows full well he's not getting hit on this practice field, but that, to me, I think is a positive sign. Now, when he did roll out yesterday, he hit Josh Downs for a completion. He also had an airmail over the middle of the field that easily could have been picked. Cam Bynum, I think, I almost think Cam Bynum was shocked by how much Daniel Jones overthrew.
Yeah.
I forget who the wideout was. It might have been Eli Pancol from Pendleton, which shows you the state of the wideout room, how much they're rotating guys right now there. But so that some of that stuff, again, is that rust. Just rolling out and the movement throws. His accuracy, I thought, was largely very good, but that's the stuff I think you want to see him try and knock off, because that was just a moment yesterday where. Obviously, if that happens in a game, that's a huge turnover. 4 of 8 was Jones. We did see a split between Richardson and Leonard, or I should say we will see a split. That's what Shane Steichen said after practice. Yesterday, and I don't want to be overly confusing here, Anthony Richardson took the first second-team reps, so he initially was the backup quarterback. Yeah. But they did 3 periods of work, and it ended up being Riley Leonard taking periods 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So if you add up the second-team reps, Leonard actually took more. It was an even split of their overall reps yesterday. Each of them got 7, which, again, James, is just a reminder. 7 team reps for Leonard and Richardson. You inevitably run the ball probably 2 or 3 times on those 7 plays. So it comes down to like 4 or 5 throws these guys now are about to get. And when practices get to an hour and 15, an hour and a half, maybe they'll up that a little bit. But it was just like actual numerical evidence of their practice reps are now about to be very limited. Good news for them. They'll get the preseason games, you would assume, a big chunk of those. But you better make the most of it. Yesterday, I thought both of them, neither really stood out. Richardson probably slightly better than Leonard. But, yeah, reps precious right now.
Yeah, Leonard threw the only interception. It was not in 11-on-11, but it was in 7-on-7. And was it the best throw? Probably not. Held it a lot. But also, for those who might be curious, when they get in those 7-on-7 drills and they roll out, the idea is to put the ball in the air pretty much no matter what happens. So I don't want to make it seem like if he were in a real game, he would make that same decision. It's kind of like, well, I'm here now. Let's get the rep fully in for everybody involved. And so Trey Washington picked it off late, whereas in a real game, I think Riley most likely just takes the sack or throws it in the dirt. But as far as how the backups looked, I would agree it wasn't something to write home about. I did write a little bit about it because I think it's something that matters just because of the injury history with Daniel Jones and also because of the situation. We'll see if there's any movement with Anthony Richardson later this week. I know his roster bonus kicks in a couple of days, and once that does, then a team that's interested in trading for him, Kevin, from how I understand it, would basically only have to pay him $1 million for 2026, and then he would become a free agent after this season. So maybe that makes it a little more enticing to take a flyer on him. But even then, Kevin, I just think that it's so late in the game as far as the trade request and all that stuff that at this point, are we looking at these 3 quarterbacks being your top 3 going into the season?
So $1 million compared to what? A little over 5?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't clarify that. So the roster bonus is about $4 million. And so once the Colts have to pay that, then the other team can say, you know what? Maybe I am willing to give up a 6th-round, 7th-round pick for someone who's only going to cost me $1 million versus 5, especially if I'm with a team that has a bit of a salary cap constraint.
And that's tomorrow, right? The 3rd day of camp?
Yes.
That's when that bonus kicks in?
I think it kicks in tomorrow, and then if I'm not mistaken, a team can then make a move for you Saturday.
And not have to pay the full
not to pay the full amount.
The 5, which, again, if you're throwing a day 3 pick on that, maybe there are some teams that are hesitant on that. You guys don't drink coffee, do you?
I don't drink coffee. I think I made it through college without it, and so at that point I was like, I probably am good, but do you have a nice cup of Joe there, or are you feeling a little
I woke up. No. I woke up this morning and realized we didn't have coffee in the house. I thought about stopping at the media hotel, but I thought, I don't know. I got nervous that for some reason, whatever, the lobby, it was going to take too long. Maybe there was a long line of softball or baseballers in there early in the morning coming to Grand Park. So I just went to the gas station across the street. I can't tell the taste between good coffee and bad coffee. This coffee tastes great to me. You could have told me this was brewed at the first ever Starbucks in Seattle, and I would believe you.
Well, this is how you know I don't drink coffee. I go to Seattle last year, Phillip Rivers game, and they're so known for coffee, which I did not know. And I call my mom, she loves coffee, loves Starbucks, and I'm like, yo, everywhere around here they have all these different things about coffee. Like, I don't know why it's such a big deal. She's like, you idiot, you're in like the coffee capital of America. So learned a lot last year about coffee. But
Did you think about dabbling at all?
No, I mean, I had it when I was younger, probably when I was in high school. I just didn't really like the taste and passed on it. But as long as you're happy, KB, I feel like you're easy to please when it comes to the coffee.
Yeah, maybe it's more a reflection of my third grade taste buds that I've told you about. But, yeah, the Joe's going down.
You go
nice
heavy
here
creamer on
this,
there, or are you just doing like black coffee? And what are we talking about
No.
here?
All black, baby. Yeah. Every time they're like, oh, yeah, you want me to leave room for cream? I'm like, no. Just hand me the thing.
I got some more time then because Steve Wiltfong, who is a friend of the show and does some great work over at On3, just DM'd me and told me, coffee is a vibe, man. No better way to start the day. I didn't start until my 30s, so I'm 30, 31 later this year, so maybe one day. I think the first kid might test me out.
Yeah, I actually did not dabble until the first kid, yeah. And I was, Rosie's, I was close to 30. I was 29, yeah. So, yeah, and Steve brought great energy when he was on with us a couple Fridays ago about Monshon Sales.
The Joe helped.
And that was an 8 o'clock segment, if I remember correctly. So thank you to Steve for that. Let's hear from Jonathan Taylor. Mark, if you could cue this up yesterday. And, James, let's set it up a little bit here. League-wide, correct me if I'm wrong, are both Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs doing the sit-out thing?
Yes.
They are both former first-round picks. So they are on their rookie deals with that fifth-year team option on those deals.
Which heavily discounts the team.
Which Taylor was not. Just to
second-round
go
pick.
Down the history of that. That was just a standard 4-year rookie contract for him. And so, again, getting to the second contract, you hear that a million times from really all pro athletes, but in particular football players, considering the lifespan of those athletes. And I would say in Gibbs and Robinson's case, A, they're younger. B, this is going to sound like a knock on JT, but I do think they're a little bit more dynamic in the passing game. So
definitely,
I think their leverage is a little bit different here than, again, maybe where Taylor's is right now, or even where Taylor's was 3 years ago. At that point, Taylor hadn't really been hurt at all in his NFL career.
Right.
And he's had a couple injuries since then. But this was Jonathan Taylor, not super long by any means in this clip, but this was him talking about a potential new contract for him.
Yeah, I have faith. There have been some good conversations, and I have faith between my agent and front office. Like I said, I've already said I would love to be a Colt for life, so I have faith that things are moving in the right direction.
So maybe something.
So, good conversations between my agent and the organization. I don't know if that phrase was uttered a few years ago.
Not at all. I don't think that there is any instance of that happening a few years ago. We were
Malkikawa, right? Is that the agent?
We were too busy, monitoring tweets from JT and his agent. And what's kind of crazy about that whole fiasco, Kevin, is that, after the spring, he never talked to us directly until he got the deal. So everything that we had, every update we provided throughout that whole saga was from some back channels and basically trying to see if JT ever smiled again. So he got the money, and the team started showing again.
JT did practice yesterday again. He had a beautiful catch in the 7-on-7.
Good.
Down the side. That was a beautiful throw by Daniel Jones, right in stride to Jonathan Taylor there. So, my thought is with this cap space they have, I want to say it's right around $30 million. I would assume, if I were a betting man right now, I think by September 13th, Taylor and Nelson get extensions.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
I will say the conversation, both from JT and from Chris Ballard on Tuesday, made me think that things are moving a lot more positively than I probably would have thought. And so, yes, for the sake of my pre-written articles, I need that to happen. That way they don't go to waste.
Did you find it at all, and I don't know, maybe you as isn't the best person to ask, but in hearing from fans, do you find it refreshing there's no quarterback battle? When's the last time we've walked into a training camp and it's like, oh yeah, there's Daniel Jones, starting quarterback. Acts like a starting quarterback. Hosts the team on a mini camp.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Do you find that refreshing at all? Do you think fans find it refreshing? I mean, I get he's coming back from serious injuries. So I don't want to act like it's we're watching Josh Allen out here. But do you think fans kind of feel that way here in 2026 of like, boy, I'm glad that they're not charting and comparing quarterback battles?
Yes, I think the conversation I get from fans is just, should we believe that Daniel Jones is going to stay healthy? There isn't a belief that it just flat out can't work if he does stay healthy. I think a lot of them saw the marriage between him and Steichen as a good thing. And I would say from the majority of fans I've talked to, at least on the first day of training camp, they're pretty positive about Daniel and happy that he's back out there, and gave him a lot of credit for working his way back to full strength, or at least to this point where he can play a full practice. But, yeah, a lot of the concerns I hear, Kevin, are more so geared toward just the injury bug that he's had throughout his career rather than, oh, my God, Anthony Richardson should be starting over him.
I do want to get to what I thought was the highlight of the day yesterday. And, again, that's a position group that I think has the ability to be elite for the Colts this season. There has to be context pointed out of who they were going up against, but still, welcome to training camp. There's only so much you can do in terms of your opposite personnel. So I do want to hit on that here coming up. I would say largely it is, I think, refreshing in a way. Again, I don't want to act like, Daniel Jones is without any warts. I mean, there are some questions, obviously, about his health and his consistency. And there was one point yesterday, James, where I looked out there and saw Anthony Richardson. I want to say it was Rylan Sharp, undrafted track dude from Arkansas, I believe. He completed a really nice ball, probably a second or third level ball to Sharp over the middle. And I started to look at the offensive players around Anthony Richardson, and I tell you what, I don't know if I recognized one player with him. And so as much as it is refreshing that Daniel Jones is, operating in the sense of, I'm the franchise quarterback, it is just kind of awkward. Like, oh, yeah, there's your fourth overall pick running with the third team.
Yeah, it is.
And we're debating this roster bonus coming up tomorrow, and we're debating, is he here 2 weeks from Thursday? Is he here in the preseason opener? Is he here September 13th? Again, I don't view him as this massive distraction. Like, I think he rather quietly goes about his business. I mean, yeah, there's been a trade request, but it's not like a demonstrative trade request. He seems to be, I thought Ballard had a pretty good comment the other day of like, I think both parties need to be realistic about this.
Yeah.
I thought it was Ballard kind of saying, look, well, about Ballard says look a lot, but, we're not, this trade is not netting a second or third rounder. Anthony, you're not going to go to one of these 31 other NFL teams and be handed the keys to the franchise tomorrow. Like, we all need to live in reality here, and I actually thought those words were pretty accurate.
So here's one little tidbit that kind of stood out to me from when Ballard spoke Tuesday about Anthony, Kevin, and it was in regard to, hey, his trade request hasn't been rescinded. What's the latest on that? He starts off by saying we're not just giving him away, but I thought this next line was kind of interesting where he goes, when you take a guy as high as we took him, you want him to come in and be the savior right away. Well, everybody's developmental plan is different. His plan was a little different. I still think he has a future. We'll see how that plays out here. The you want him to be the savior thing I thought was a little revealing because that was sort of the expectation that, hey, we finally stopped kicking the can down the road. We're going to invest a super high draft pick in this guy, our highest pick since Andrew Luck, to get the guy to replace Andrew Luck, and it just didn't work out. So hearing him say that kind of in passing, Kevin, really kind of put it out there before me to say, wow, yeah, he has had quite the fall from grace with this franchise, and I think it's smart that they moved on to Daniel Jones. I can't sit here and still be saying, oh, Anthony should be starting. But, boy, it's kind of crazy that we're talking about a number 4 pick just a few years removed from being that pick, competing to be the second or third stringer on a team that didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yesterday, opening segment, you and I were side by side. We were pretty much holding hands.
Yes.
By all accounts, I think it sounded pretty good, Mark, so thank you for your help on that. Today, I decided to support you with the bucket hat.
Appreciate that.
Do you like it?
Yes.
Little throwback Masters bucket hat?
Yes, the bucket hat is an essential. And jokes aside, I always think it's funny when
Oh, I didn't realize you got a Nike one. That's nice, man.
Yeah, got it on sale. It's the same one I've had for years. The other one's in the trash.
You care if I
RIP.
touch that? Just
no,
to
no.
feel the material?
Yeah,
Nice.
You know, it's pretty. It's like I think it's like a fishing hat. You know, won't be on any lakes soon, but yeah, the bucket hat gets the job done. I feel like I'm out here and I need to protect the skin.
The YouTube chat, Mark, is saying that the only thing missing from me is a cigar here on this Thursday morning. Am I getting off that type of vibe here?
A little bit. Who's the character you said you looked like a few years ago? Our P1 listener, Gritty, said I was too young to know.
Did she go Gilligan?
Gilligan, that's who it is. She said, you look like,
boy, you're really showing your age.
There you go. I'm sorry, I'm 30. I mean, I don't know who half these characters are you bring up.
Mark, is that what I'm missing? Am I missing like an Eddie White cigar
I was
here?
say you throw a cigar in your mouth and I'll be like, is that Eddie White I'm looking at right now? We'll start talking about all kinds of things and doing impressions of presidential
Gosh,
candidates.
is that a compliment? I guess he did just go into the Hall of Fame.
I was going to say,
didn't
I think it is.
he? Gosh, he is such a character. He really is. Speaking of the Pacers, speaking of all that, Mark, I do want to hit on something I saw you were bringing up on social media yesterday. So, again, as succinctly and easily as we can, yesterday we had a report out there that the Pacers games, and again, we don't know the quantity of the 82-game season, but some of their games next season, potentially all of them, could be on a streaming service by the name of DAZN. It's an acronym, D-A-Z-N, but that's how they pronounce it. Mostly known, Mark, right, for kind of global sports like mixed martial arts, and I think they do like Italian soccer, and they aren't really
all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, not really mainstream sports by any means, and again, a little bit more in the European route here. But currently in the U.S., a DAZN subscription costs $34.99 per month. If you go for a full year, they bring that down to $24.99 per month. Now, obviously, if you're watching the Pacers, you only need to watch them from October to April, and then the playoffs happen, and they're on, obviously, the channels that pretty much everybody gets here. I saw you and Tony East had a little bit of an exchange on potentially what that price point could be, Mark.
Yeah, let me dig that up. But yeah, he said something along the lines of that he would subscribe to DAZN for FIBA and Courtside, and he said Courtside was a separation from DAZN, and it was a much cheaper product. So it's kind of like a branch of DAZN. So I don't know what the price point was. He didn't go into that, but it sounded like that could possibly be a thing. But in my head, I was also like, but that's also FIBA and like second and third tier basketball. I'm sure if they get the NBA, they ain't giving a discount. So I'm curious if that $34.99 price tag, alters at all, or if there is an NBA package, what's that costing you? Because $34.99 without the NBA is steep. So I can't imagine that if the NBA jumps on board, they're going to stand pat or lower the price point. So I'm just curious what we're looking at here. But when you see $34.99, you're like, another streaming service for a very niche, product, a possible one-team thing that I'm trying to watch, $34.99 that costs more than like 2 streaming services without ads. That's asking a lot.
Well, I think it's utterly ridiculous. I mean, $34.99
Yes.
is freaking outrageous. And I just did a quick little search on this, Mark, and you just kind of hit on it there. It's pretty much double, multiple other streaming services. I'm looking up Netflix right here with no ads, $19.99 a month. Disney Plus, $18.99. Paramount Plus, $13.99. Peacock, $16.99. Apple TV, $12.99. Amazon Prime, $14.99. And again, James, you know this full well. When you're watching those streaming services, you're not just watching them for Pacer games.
No.
You are watching them for multiple different things here. So, boy, I got a lot of questions, and I need a lot more answers in regards to where this is at.
I am curious, too, Kevin. Will we get to a point where it stabilizes and whatever it is becomes the thing? Because it does seem like every 5 years we see a change in the provider or the plan or which app we got to download. Boy, I know I sound like an old man right now, and I'm not as old as to know what Gilligan or who Gilligan is, but I am old enough to remember just turning on my local TV and watching my team growing up.
And James, when we have this conversation, at times I do feel a tad awkward, and kind of hear me out on this. I work kind of in this industry. We work kind of in this industry.
Yeah.
You work for a subscription website. So, I should want people paying out of the wazoo for sporting materials, if you will. I mean, hell, what if we said, hey, let's charge $5 to subscribe to our radio station? You know, like, would people do that? Is that going to be the thing in 20 years?
Right.
15, like where are we at?
I mean,
like,
we're seeing it now with some of these radio subscriptions you have in your car.
Right. So, like, there is part of me that's like, boy, maybe for my own bank account I should vouch for this, but I just can't. I can't, like, live in that world. Morally, I just don't feel like that is right. $34.99 to watch 82 Pacer games, and again, that's monthly, $34.99. That is an utter joke. And
right.
I love basketball. I love watching basketball. Hell, I like basketball more than I like football. It's just, oh, gosh. I don't know, man.
And are you actually paying $34.99 for 82 games? Because if they're on national TV on ESPN or TNT or something, chances are those games aren't going to be on the zone too. So you could be paying $34.99 a month for 70 games or something like that. So the cost is even
that's a good point.
more exorbitant.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point.
I'm just sick of all these
we got a
streaming
texter here.
services.
Heck, I thought Bally was pricey at $20 a month. Yeah, and again, Bally had issues there. So 6 months is going to cost you north of $200. Yeah, Glenn, that is a great point. That is much more than what I'm paying right now for, everything. So we'll keep you updated on that. Again, nothing official. Want to make that very clear. And I assume the same people we're used to, Kristen Airy, Quinn Buckner, Jeremiah Johnson, etc., Eddie Gill, they would still be on this.
If there were any changes there, I think at that point we got to just go get our pitchforks.
Tossing hands,
Walk
right?
to the league office.
Tossing hands.
If you take away my smothered chicken, we're going to have problems.
If we're tossing hands, I think I want our next guest, Mo Alie-Cox.
That is true.
Always love chatting with Mo. Variety of topics we hit on with him. We'll play that for you upcoming on the other side. Beautiful Wednesday at the Drop Light Grand Park campus here in Westfield. Day 2, Colts training camp starting at 10 a.m. Thank you for spending your Thursday morning with us.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
Well, shout out to listener Fitch here, new father, sharing a tweet here. Hope mom and baby are healthy and doing great. Ken, who delivers us his waters, James, he was showing me a picture of his 3-week-old granddaughter when I was walking in here on this Thursday morning. So love hearing that. The Bowen family, we're back to school in a couple weeks. How was day one for the Dykens, Mark? Everything good?
So far, so good. Yeah, had some naps taken after school because the realization that full days of school started right out of the gate were apparent. So, yeah, everybody enjoyed their first day, got to see friends they haven't seen in about 6 weeks and stuff. Everybody likes their teacher. Nora loved kindergarten, so that was a great start there. So far, so good. All three in full day schools. It is a life-changing moment, Kevin.
Yeah, boy, yeah, I can. We are still a ways away from that, to be clear, but I can imagine. I guess it was day one of school, if you will, for the Colts. Day one of Colts camp practice yesterday. James, something I want to hit on after the Mo Alie-Cox chat is the final team period yesterday and what we saw from one particular position group. I need some help, because I do think on paper that is a position group that can be really, really good for this team here in 2026, but I'm worried about the context, and I can't ignore that either. So we'll do that upcoming here in a few, but for now, we caught up with Mo Alie-Cox after practice yesterday. Mark, let's go ahead and play that.
And we are back. It is the Fan Morning Show. Day one of training camp just wrapped up. I think he's the answer to a trivia question. I might ask him this. Mo Alie-Cox, are you the longest tenured offensive player on this football team?
Yes.
He said that so reluctantly, James Boyd. You got to be proud of that accomplishment.
It depends how you classify it because I was practice squad my first year. But
that counts.
That counts because
You
sometimes they write 9 years in the league when this is really my 10th year.
Okay.
So you know how that
Stop
goes.
that. Did you participate in training camp?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I'm the longest, and then I think Q's probably second.
Right. And I'm trying to think, what, Luke Rhodes maybe?
Yeah, Luke's the longest tenured player.
Okay.
He was here before us. He was a linebacker, so 11 years. He was here at Pagano.
Do you ever go back and watch 2017 training camp film of Mo Alie-Cox?
I don't really go back and watch camp film because I got hurt like the third day. I tore the deltoid ligament in my ankle. But I do go back and watch like some game film from 2018, 2019. I'm like, bro, I was like, yo, what was I doing? Like, I was getting it done, but it looked so ugly compared to like my technique and stuff now. So sometimes I get bored and go back and watch old film.
Well, I mean, to give you a little credit here, Mo, you were coming from basketball to football. So now 10 years into this thing, what do you think continues to allow you to have success when you're on the football field?
At this point in my career, I would say just being available and taking great care of my body. Like when I first got in the league, I would be so tired after like a work day. I wasn't putting that extra work to like make sure I was at 100% going into the game. You like get a massage and stuff like that, but now I do like hyperbaric, red light massage twice a week, and different more mobility stretching and stuff like that. Just making sure I'm available, and I think that also helps me with my technique and stuff. And then I would say like, cause my tight end coach always goes like, "It's crazy, you're moving better now than you were like 3 years ago," and stuff like that. And that's when I really started incorporating all that stuff into my routine more often.
Do you, I guess off-season wise, and maybe you're just getting to it right there, but how would you say your off-season has changed ramping up to a season from 2020, 2019 to 2026?
I would say keeping myself more fresh and that I don't get right into it when we're done. Normally before I used to only take like 2-3 weeks off and then go right back into working out, but now I give myself at least 6 weeks. Sometimes I start March, but this year I started at the 6-week mark because last year I finished with turf toe, so like I wasn't even able to do all that. But this year I feel my body feels way better just starting a little bit later and then ramping it up through OTAs and that post-OTAs prep, that 6-week prep is when I really went crazy. Like ran every day, every Friday, hills or beach workout and stuff like that. Because, coming into camp, you want to be in the best shape as possible so you can just focus on football.
Knock on wood, your availability has been outstanding, really, throughout your career. Do you think that is something conscious that you have put into? Obviously, there's a little bit of luck, but is there something conscious you point to for a reason for that?
Shoot, I would say my toughness. I mean, because there's some stuff I probably should not have played through, but I did.
Hardest thing you played through?
Hernia. I had a hernia one year. It's probably on the injury report with a hip injury listed all year. No one knew I had a hernia. Another one, I had a broken thumb, so I played with a cast. But that was the year Jacoby was starting. I think when Andrew retired, I broke my thumb. We played a Thursday night game, had the surgery on Friday, and then I didn't miss any games that year, different things like that. So, knock on wood, the last 2-3 years, I really haven't had anything pop up, which has allowed me to not miss practice and different things like that.
Besides turf, though.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, but
turf does no joke.
I had a plate in my shoe, so I could play with that one. But the hernia, you got to run with it so you feel it every time you ran. And I always tell people that's probably my most painful injury because you could rest, and as soon as you work out one day, it's back. So it's it doesn't really go away unless you get surgery on it.
That's crazy. Again, that's the voice of Mo Alie-Cox joining us here on the Fan Morning Show. Mo, you've been with a lot of talented tight ends alongside you in your room. I'm not going to ask you to rank them, but when you look at Tyler Warren going into year 2, what makes him different?
Shoot. I would say for such a young player, his mental capacity to handle what's thrown at him and then to decipher different things on the field. You could just tell he's just a smart player. He reminds me of Jack Doyle with just a little more quick twitch and stuff like that. But up top, he has it all. And then I think that allows him to do stuff on the field. You can see sometimes he catches the ball. He doesn't keep going this way because the pursuit's coming this way. He turns back, breaks a couple tackles. And I would also say his toughness. That dude's tough as nails. He probably hurt his ankle second or third day of camp. And me being a vet, I'm like, bro, we need you for the season, man. just relax, chill. But he battled through it and practiced every day and then played every game and stuff like that. So just his toughness and his mental.
I need to clip out the quick twitch more than Jack Doyle. We need to we need to clip that out and send that.
We got to instigate.
I talk to Jack all the time, man.
But I do want to follow up on that. And I heard from a scout, this was probably a few years ago during the combine, they were saying, okay, outside of quarterback, they thought that tight end was the hardest position to learn going into the NFL because you're learning 2 positions at once. You got to be basically an offensive lineman, a blocker. You got to be basically a receiver as well. So in your mind, what allows you to have success if you're a Tyler Warren, if you go back to when you were young, learning how to do both when you're required to do both at the highest level?
I would say just a lot of film study. Definitely watching a lot of film, but I always say you don't get better or comfortable until you actually get the reps on the field. So, allowing him, he came in and was with the ones immediately. You mess up, we're not really mad that you mess up because we're all learning at the same time. But it's not making that same mistake twice and stuff like that. And then, me, I had a whiteboard because I didn't play any football at all. So it was harder for me to grasp the concept. But I came in with another rookie. It was me and Darrell Daniels at the time. And we lived in the same apartment. So we would have the whiteboard, draw the play, and then write the play name, and then you have to draw the whole concept and things like that. So I would say it was easier learning the pass game because the run game it's always changing because the fronts and the IDs and things like that. So I'd say the run game is much harder to grasp than the pass game. So it's really getting those reps doing the run game. So the walkthroughs, but I think also we having Coach Tom Manning in the room. He's a former teacher, so he hits every single coaching point. We don't get our meetings early at all. Meeting ends at 7:30. We're getting out at 7:30, sometimes a little later. So having him in the room definitely helps everybody tremendously because he doesn't go into a game without covering every single detail at least more than sometimes 2-3 times. And then we have our notes that he writes for us, and we look at that game day and Saturday night and stuff like that. So he has us prepared always.
That's the voice of Mo Alie-Cox, and don't let him tell you otherwise. The longest tenured Colts offensive player. He's with us here.
Yeah, he unked.
On the Fan Morning Show. James and I love basketball, and we have debated this quite often on the show, so we're going to go to the NCAA tournament, Mo Alie-Cox, to ask this question. I need a point guard through center, starting 5 out of this 90-man roster right here.
Ooh. We have had this debate.
We have, and I feel like we've differed. I can hear your teammates chirping in the locker room about this endlessly.
I think I've talked to you about this.
I have, but now we got a bunch of new people, so it's like I haven't seen the new guys hoop. All right.
Well, let's pencil yourself in.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 4.
Okay, you're at the 4.
I'm gonna go Free at the 5.
Oh,
Blake.
Okay, all right.
I heard Blake was a pretty good basketball
Blake Freeland.
player.
I believe a quarterback in high school, Blake Freeland. Some athleticism.
We watched some of his basketball tape. Jim Bob always put some tape on.
Okay.
I'm gonna go AR at the 3.
Okay.
Super athletic. You got it. You need that. You need some of that.
But Mo is scouring the practice field right now.
Cut off. I'm gonna go Jay Jones. Jay Jones can hoop.
Jalen Jones?
Yeah, Jalen Jones at the 2.
Okay.
See, point guard's tricky, man.
I've seen Riley's high school highlights.
Actually, I'm gonna go Riley at the 1.
Okay.
Ooh. Riley was dunking everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, you got some size in that lineup there, right?
Yeah, size.
On AR at the
some
3.
quickness. I've seen AR's clips. He looks pretty good out there.
Now, some of your past teammates, was T.Y. Hilton as good as people say?
T.Y. T.Y. wasn't bad. He could make shots, but on the actual basketball court, it wasn't crazy. But he could make a shot.
What I tell you, KB, whenever you hear anybody say it wasn't bad, it wasn't good either. So.
I don't want that compliment.
Jacoby, I would say former teammates Jacoby or Kari Willis were probably the best ones.
Okay.
We would when we were younger, we would go to that LA Fitness that used to be right down from the facility. I don't know if it's still there. And during OTAs, we would play on Fridays and stuff like that, going there and hoop. So Jacoby was nasty. Then he told me Coach Smart recruited him at Florida, which was kind of crazy, which is my college coach. So.
Look, I mean that's.
I think he won some games.
A good starting 5, I would say.
With that starting 5. Now, are you a stretch 4?
In high school, I shot the ball a lot more. College, I didn't really shoot because, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
When Coach Smart was there, he let me shoot some. But then we got Coach Wade. Well, Wade got there. You're in a post. You're doing this. I'm like, bro, I'm 6'5". I can't go to the NBA only playing in the post. And right there is where I made my decision to go play football.
So along those lines, though, and the question I think I've asked you in the past, but we got you here. How grateful are you that you were willing to maybe make the transition? Or was it hard for you? Because some guys, they think, man, basketball has been all I've known, and you're telling me now I got to switch.
I never really thought about it. NFL teams used to, I was a freshman, and there was an area scout from the Eagles who came. He was good friends with Coach Smart. He wasn't even coming to see me. And Coach Smart's like, Mo, come over here. And he's like, and the dude's like, yeah, that's what they look like. I'm like, what are they talking about? He's like, NFL tight end. He's like, if you ever want to do that, but I'm a freshman straight out of high school. Like, bro, in my head, I'm going to the NBA.
Right.
You can't tell me anything. But then as time went on, and then later in my career, I'm like, well, I'm still playing in the post, so. And then by the time I was a senior, NFL teams were coming to all the games, coming to practices with iPads and just filming me play basketball. I'm like, yo, this is kind of crazy. So when I was done, I was like, I could just go try it out. If it doesn't work out, I'm only like a year or two removed from basketball. I could always go play basketball. So, the first year I did practice squad, but the second year I wasn't really even repping and joint practice and stuff like that. I'm like, man, if I don't get up this year, I'm just going back to basketball. But then Jack ended up getting hurt, and then I was like that secondary blocker on the practice squad. I got called up and haven't looked back ever since.
Boy, the rest is history. It's a hell of a story.
He's going to help out, was it Carson?
Carson Talent.
Yeah.
Carson's definitely in that same boat. I'm like, bro, I used to do the same things you used to do, so I try to coach him up as much as possible to just not think about it as much and just go and do it.
It's a box-out drills between Carson Talent.
You've watched a lot of Carson Talent.
I watched a lot
former
of
Notre Dame power forward.
Up in Notre Dame. Again, a couple minutes left here with Mo Alie-Cox. We were chatting with you before you hopped on. We asked you best thing you did this offseason. Care to share with our audience?
I would say attending a World Cup soccer game. It was just great to see how everybody was unified in the stadium. Everybody was repping the United States and things like that. Like, they scored a goal. People you don't even know are dapping you up, hugging you, and things like that. So it was just like a great environment to experience it. And I was also down in Panama when they played their first game, and that was even crazier because the whole entire country, no matter where you went, had the soccer jersey on. Yeah. And then it was game time. I was trying to go to dinner. It took I opened my map. It was like an hour and a half to get anywhere. Go like half a mile and stuff like that.
Wow.
So that just shows how much bigger they taking in those other countries and things like that. But that was definitely a great experience. And I'm like, oh, man, if this is how soccer games are, I got to go to more.
Yeah, that is nuts. USA-Turkey, right?
Yeah, it was USA versus Turkey.
So when you have that experience as a fan of your country,
yep.
how thirsty does it make you as an athlete to give that same feeling to the fans here in Indianapolis with playoff appearances, playoff wins, things like that?
Definitely, for sure. You want to give that to your fan base because they support you to their fullest. Some people spend their last on tickets and stuff like that. So every time you take the field, you try to make them proud of the product you're putting out there, and that's the goal we're trying to achieve this year, starting today.
All right, last one. You have now called Indy home. I guess your in-season home for nearly a decade. Favorite Indy spot or two for number 81?
I always go to Salt on Mass. It's one of my top dinner spots.
Okay.
And then I will go.
We've done a birthday dinner there before. Very good place.
Tied for second, I will go Bodie. Tied spot. And then we always do position dinners at Anthony's Chop House up there. So whenever my boys come in town, I try to take them up there. They love that spot.
Okay. You're not messing around. Shout out to the great Tony Lazera, hell of a golfer there at Anthony's Chop House. Mo, congrats, man. It's an amazing story, and it now is continuing here for another year. Stay healthy, man, and we appreciate you hopping on with us.
Thank you for having me.
Always enjoyed chatting with the big man, Mo Alie-Cox. That was yesterday after practice. I believe Sauce Gardner, James, will do that today after and play that for you. Upcoming tomorrow. I loved his answer. I thought it was a great question you asked. I loved his answer on the run game, pass game differences of a tight end, because I have heard that, from a lot of people, just the difficulty in learning that sort of position. It's not just, take the basketball player and he can go play tight end. It's like, no, man, there's a whole lot of nuance when it comes to, your identifications pre-snap and your responsibilities.
Yeah, and your feel. There's a lot of things that involve tight ends that are not option routes per se, Kevin, but there is a blocking and then catching element to it. You're not just lining up and running a route. You have to make sure that you chip this edge rusher and then run your route, timing, things like that. So I thought Mo Alie-Cox, who is pretty personable, was the perfect person to ask that question too, because he usually will give you that detail and break it down and put it in English for the layman like us.
I love that the interns have gotten Colt City set up, and now they get to, just throw the football at the various inflatables that are set up.
Yeah, you know what? I always get a little jealous of even some of the, Wish TV interns and others, because I think when you live in Indy, there's just so many cool things to do for, a summer job or a summer intern or something, because if you're into sports, there's always something going on here. I think I did an internship at City Hall. And did I ever tell you this story?
No.
The coolest thing I did, and I don't have this photo anymore. I think it's been deleted to make sure that I keep my PR image up to, standard. But
clean the social media. Isn't that what they say?
But I was an intern for City Hall, and I had to do some stuff with the local police department. And long story short, they let me in the evidence room one time, and they had raided this guy's house recently, and I took a picture with probably a 30-pound brick of weed.
Whoa.
And so they told me I probably shouldn't post that photo, and I never have, and
man,
it is gone out of the archives.
420 at James's house.
The guy who's never drank or never smoked. I was posted up like I was some kingpin or something like that. There were other things that they had confiscated, but I was like, I probably shouldn't go any further in the drug department with taking photos with
John Dillinger over here.
Yeah,
James Boyd. How about that? Jeez, Mark, I need to call the Westfield PD down here. All right, coming up on the other side, I do want to get to what I thought was the highlight of yesterday, non-Daniel Jones health-related, one position group, two pairs of players, or a pair of players, I should say, really stood out to me. We'll share that, but for now, Mark, let's go ahead and check it now.
Morning Checkdown, brought to you by Suave Men Refreshing Face and Body Wash on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, my math had 88 of 90 Colts practicing yesterday. It's a pretty good number, even for day one. Alec Pierce on a stationary bike was doing some kind of standstill catching with Reggie Wayne at one point, chatting with Carly Ursay-Gordon a whole lot during practice. C.J. Allen also on the stationary bike during the early periods of practice. Those are the two that did not practice. So pretty good day of health. Even coming off the summer vacation, typically you don't see that type of attendance on day one. 10 a.m. start time again today. 10 a.m. start time again tomorrow. 4 o'clock coming up on Saturday here for the Colts. Fever action coming up tomorrow night. One thing to note, James, Fever-wise, again, I would say is their best stretch of the season. The trade deadline is this weekend?
Yes.
Anything? Nothing?
I doubt it because it's really hard to just make trades in the WNBA. Kevin, they have the $7 million salary cap limit. It's a hard cap. And to put things in the simplest terms, if you want to try to make some moves or send somebody out, the salaries really have to match. And that makes it hard, in my opinion, to make a deal for a difference maker. I think at this point, you just got to hope that you can stay healthy. Your defense can be middle of the pack, perhaps a little bit better than average, and then your super dynamic offense can carry you to the finish line.
I would say that this is, again, their best stretch of the season. And, again, tomorrow night they are another notable favorite, just like over Seattle earlier in the week, about an 8.5-point favorite over Portland tomorrow night before they take on the league's best team, and that is the Minnesota Lynx record-wise. But I'd say over the last couple of weeks, probably the best team playing-wise has been the Fever. Major League Baseball yesterday for 3 hours yesterday morning. Mark Dykton, and I loved it to be very clear, just took an absolute dump on the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, it was unbelievable what Mark Dykton did. Every single check down, and what did the baseball gods say?
They rewarded him with some dung thrown back at him.
Mm-hmm. How about you get walked off? And that's what happened to the Cubbies last night.
It happened to the reliever who stinks, Thornton. My God, if you ever needed any more proof that the Cubs need to get some relief pitching at the trade deadline, that was there, right? Because PCA launched one into the seats, 2-run homer, and then he just couldn't close it out. So bullpen once again blows it for the Cubs, get some moves at the deadline, and let's put these pathetic Cardinals to rest today. Take 3 or 4.
In the history of sport fandom, is there anything a fan base hates more than their bullpen? Like, has anyone ever liked their bullpen? Has anyone ever complimented their bullpen, or is it just constant hatred? We need bullpen arms at the trade deadline. I've never heard a baseball fan, I've never heard a fan in any sport hate a particular position group more than the annual hatred of a Major League Baseball team and their
because
bullpen.
It fluctuates year to year where you can have a really lights-out bullpen, and then next year you're like, wait, these are the same guys. How is our ERA a collective like 5.46 all of a sudden? So if you have a great closer, that's awesome, but yeah, you need bullpen arms to get you through the tough innings, and the Cubs don't have that at the moment. So they're doing pretty good so far. Let's add some arms, boys, please.
Now, did you do that on purpose? Did you just say 5.46? Was that the 40-yard dash time for James Boyd yesterday?
Come on.
That was completely unintentional, but, I mean, I'll take it. If you want to throw it my way, I'll take it.
Actually, he might have been a little slower. You might have been 5.47.
5.47? We'll see. Well, you know, for those who might have missed it in the first hour of the show, T.Y. Hilton chimed in via the Twitter sphere.
He did. He wants you to run it again, right?
Yes, I did ask. I said, hey, August 20th could be the last training camp practice out here at Grand Park, Droplet Grand Park, and he told me, hey, you should run it again. So I got to clean up the start, get out the gate a little faster, and so I'm going to perhaps slide in DMs of T.Y. Hilton and get him to give me some tips.
And you did say that on your first attempt, it was kind of a nervy start. You were a little nervous about potentially getting hurt?
No, it wasn't nervy at all. I just
was dewy,
felt flat on my face. Yeah, it was dewy. So I wasn't nervous to run it. But
yeah. You blame the dew. That's what it was.
The dew seriously almost took out one of my hamstrings. So thank God that I am relatively in shape and I didn't pull anything.
All I heard was a bunch of
scary.
Excuses, Kevin. That's all I heard is when he came back. He's like,
shout out to,
the lasers were wrong. It was wet outside. The sun was in my eyes. I heard excuse after excuse.
Well, shout out to our P1 listener, Aaron from Minnesota. He said we all got to line it up. You guys been talking trash. Only been taking your turns, trashing your boy. Line it up. Put those legs where your mouth is.
I got to stick to Blue Powerade, Wendy's, and picking up animal dung.
See, there's the excuses. I have my excuses, and now you have yours.
Oh, yeah, yours were utterly pathetic yesterday after that. At 145 pounds, running 5.47. Curt Cignetti would not be offering James Boyd any sort of contract. Curt Cignetti will be in front of a mic
come on.
Coming up today. It is the final day of Big Ten Media Days. So Sig to the mic later this morning. We'll see if he has anything for the SEC after that annual back and forth between those two conferences. Carter Smith, Bones Jones, and Tyree Tucker. Those are the three other players that will be joining Cignetti up in Chicago for that. And Purdue, they wrapped up their foreign tour on the hardwood. Matt Painter's bunch up in Vancouver 4-0 for Purdue. Their freshman Jacob Weber Sharpshooter had 21 last night for them. Really balanced scoring. I'm fascinated to see how that will play out for the Boilers and exactly what these lineups look like, because they used a whole lot of different ones up there in Canada, as it is a lot of new faces in West Lafayette to go with your C.J. Cox, Jakari Harris, Jack Benter, Daniel Jacobsons of the world, Omar Meyer as well. All right, coming up on the other side, what were our takeaways from day one of camp? I thought one position looked very good, another did not. How do you view the context around that? We'll discuss that, and then Joel A. Erickson, 9 o'clock in person right here at training camp. Gates open at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock the start time, and Mark, my weather update says it looks awesome. Let's get more of an official one here from Fox 59.
Sunshine continues across the area for today. Should be a beautiful afternoon. We'll keep it dry and seasonal, a high at 86. And tonight, clear skies, another quiet evening, very pleasant with a low tonight, down to 66. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Jim O'Brien for The Fan.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
Well, thank you to Mo Alie-Cox. Thank you to Mo Alie-Cox for joining us yesterday after practice. That will be up on the podcast and scheduled to have Sauce Gardner on tomorrow's show. And, James, that's where I want to go here. Yesterday, day one of practice, the first couple of team periods, Daniel Jones really had no issue in terms of finding, tight end Tyler Warren early on, a couple of completions there. And then the final period of their three that they did yesterday, It started with Jones trying to hook up with Laquan Treadwell, just a simple little comeback route, and Travaris Ward just ate it up. I mean, absolutely ate it up to the point where it almost looked like Ward was going to pull down the interception with that, knock the ball away. Obviously, the defense starts hooting and hollering about that. I don't know if it was the next play, but one of the next plays, Sauce Gardner almost had the exact same route on the opposite side of the field doing it to Josh Downs.
Yeah.
And, again, just eating it up, no chance for a completion. And we're talking, 6-7 yard comebacks. We're not talking anything, down the field. And, this is where at times you can kind of struggle in training camp how to view that. I think that outside cornerback duo, Ward and Gardner, had the chance to be elite. And those two plays were that. So do I view it in that light? Or do you sit there and say, well, Josh Downs, you're asking him to be an outside wideout really for the first time in his NFL career. Sauce Gardner should do that. On the opposite side, Laquan Treadwell, you know how many catches he's got in the NFL the last 3 years?
I would venture to say less than 10.
Mooney Ward has more catches in the NFL over the last 3 years than Laquan Treadwell.
I did not know that.
Mooney Ward with 5 interceptions in the last 3 years. Laquan Treadwell with 1 catch in the NFL in the last 3 years.
Wow.
So when you view all of this, I still think that cornerback duo can be elite, let me be clear. But then I'm also sitting there watching the wideouts yesterday, and I'm like, oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I think it lends itself to the narrative, Kevin, every year at training camp where if the offense doesn't have a great day, it's a bad training camp day.
Yeah, what's good, what's bad.
Yeah, can the defense ever have a few highlights, or do we get on here on the airwaves and say, oh, my gosh, the offense is cooked and Daniel Jones looks terrible because he didn't have a super efficient day against, like you said, two of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. Like, I can't sit up here and act like the Colts have had many cornerback tandems in years past with this level of resumes. If you look at Sauce Gardner, I think when he first got traded here, Kevin, I looked it up. So he has 2 first-team All-Pro nods to his name as a cornerback. I don't think that the Colts have had cornerbacks, plural, combined in their history outside of him with 2 first-team all-team, first-team All-Pro nods. And then the same thing goes for Travaris Ward. I know he's not on like that level with Sauce, but to be fair to him, he was a second-team All-Pro a few years ago. So, yes, they can be very good. I don't want to overreact to anything. But I do think, and you hammered it earlier in the show, Kevin, that I'm looking at some of the wide receiver lineups like, man, they are a little thin, especially without number 14 doing his thing as their top receiver in Alec Pierce.
Yeah, boy, a little thin sounds like you're trying to give me a backhanded compliment on how I look. I might argue it's a lot thin. It just, when Daniel Jones, I thought Daniel Jones really only had one errant throw in 11-on-11 yesterday when he was rolling out to his left, which, again, seeing him roll out, seeing him do some outside of the pocket things, I thought was a really important and good and key step. But he overthrew, and I want to say it was Eli Pancol, who, ironically enough, is from over here in Pendleton Heights. He overthrew him, and it's a ball that Cam Bynum, frankly, probably should have picked off there. And so now, and again, this is what training camp is. To me, I'm all about, okay, let me get multiple days. What are the trends? What are the things now happening 3, 4, 5 days in a row? Full pads, add another layer. Joint practices, add another layer. But, again, how do you view that Jones rep? Are we talking rust? Are we talking he's maybe never thrown a ball to Eli Pancol in 11-on-11 setting in his life? Yeah. Those are some of the realities of where you're at right now from wideout. So, you have definitely hammered the Keenan Allen point a lot. I remember back in the spring, Stephen Holder was probably a little bit more, they need to get a wideout than a defensive end. I've probably been a little bit more on the reverse of that. Yeah. I think Shane Steichen can scheme some things up. And to be fair, this offense last year, granted Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson were in a quarterback battle, I didn't recall walking off these practice fields too many times and thinking, boy, that passing offense looks like the 2000 Rams.
Yeah.
And then you got to the start of the season, and the offense was flawless. So I guess I say all that to say I'm very curious what the urgency is on adding another wideout, because the wideout groups we saw yesterday, James, that's going to be the wideout groups for the next handful of practices, if not more. Like, Alec Pierce isn't coming back today. The thought is a week or two.
I will say this. He was out here yesterday, Alec Pierce. He did look, in my opinion, stronger, at least his left leg, the left ankle surgery that he underwent. He looked stronger from that standpoint than in the spring. He wasn't walking with noticeable limp like he was in the spring, Kevin. So those were all positive signs for Alec Pierce. He was off to the side, catching a few passes, not in any practice setting, but just kind of getting some light reps in, I guess is how I would describe it, while the rest of the team went through their team periods. But, yes, I do think that wide receiver is a position they have to address. And the reason why I keep bringing up Keenan Allen is because I understand that he never played with Daniel Jones, but he knows Shane's offense inside and out. He played in it for a few years out there in L.A., and even though he's old, the 6-time Pro Bowler, I think he's 34. If you look at his last 9 years, last year he had maybe a down year for his standards. He still had 4 touchdowns and over 700 yards receiving, and he's done that for 9 straight years. And so if you think he can just roll out of bed and get you, let's call it 600 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns, that's not a bad investment in my opinion, even though his skill set might overlap with Josh Downs in the slot. Just having another proven commodity there, I think, is a good thing. I'm not saying you got to sign him today. I'm not even saying you have to sign him. But if you feel like, hey, we're just not there, then why not go out and get somebody later on who's very familiar with your coach, who I would still credit as being one of the better offensive minds in the NFL, and Shane Steichen.
Yeah, and again, to reiterate on those 2 reps yesterday that Ward and Gardner ate up, I mean, those they didn't have prayers of being completed.
No, and I thought the one that Ward broke up, Daniel probably threw it a little bit too inside, and, man, you're off by an inch or two against guys like Travarius Ward and Sauce Gardner. That could be a pass breakup like we saw, or an interception.
Now, again, a week from what? Week from Tuesday, right, is the joint practice? Like,
yeah,
Sauce Gardner opposite A.J. Brown in Foxborough. You know, again, sign yourself up for that.
I'll be having to call you from
true evaluations. Yeah, you're out there for that. Are you out there for the preseason game, or are you coming
I'm not
home?
out there for the game. I'm taking an educated guess that Daniel Jones will not be playing in that game, so trying to save the company a little money. We're coming home early and watching it from home. But I think the joint practice will be very interesting, and I had to kind of convince the Athletic to let me go because I was like, look, this is my preseason game. This is my first time seeing Daniel, and the closest thing we'll see probably to a game setting
against
before
a very
the season
good
opener.
defense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to go out there, and, of course, I'll be happy to provide you all with any updates I get throughout the day.
So, Mark, that's you and I for a couple shows then, I assume?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Gosh, you imagine how much we'll be bitching about the Cardinals for those
What are you talking about?
few shows there?
Maybe.
They'll be dead already. They'll be buried. We won't have to worry about them.
I think you hate the Cardinals more than you hate the Reds, which just makes me happy. If I can
that's true. No,
palm
Cardinals
that
are
offense
on the
up the house.
Packers level. Yeah.
Coming up, Joel A. Erickson going to join us at 9. One lingering thing I did want to get to from Chris Ballard on Tuesday, James. You did ask him about Terry and Arnold.
Yes.
In that situation. And again, before you kind of give Ballard's answer, I want you to make sure you provide a little bit of details for those that maybe have not followed the Terry and Arnold situation. Detroit Lions cornerback with some former Detroit Lions cornerback with some legal issues.
Yes, so he was waived by the Lions back in June after he was charged with 8 felonies, 4 for robbery and 4 for kidnapping. The charges come from Tyrion Arnold allegedly coordinating for his items, which I guess had been stolen from a rental property that he was at in Florida. He wanted to get those items back. He thought somebody kind of in his, I don't want to say friend group, but somebody he was associated with, he thought it was kind of an inside job. And so the theory that the police have is that he coordinated for these 2 men to be kind of set up, kidnapped, and robbed of the gear that they allegedly stole from him. Long story short, the police looked into that and realized that, no, there is really no evidence of these guys doing this, and you basically kidnapped some people that had nothing to do with your stuff being stolen. And so long story short, He got arrested for that. He got charged with, again, 8 felonies. He could face up to life in prison. If he's convicted, he's currently out on bond. And according to his agent, who testified in a Florida court earlier this month, I should say, there is interest in NFL teams. Despite the charges not really being dropped or there not being a resolution right now in the case, he has drawn interest from a handful of teams, one of them being the Colts. His agent, Nicole Lynn, also said he worked out for the Texans. And so I want to follow up on that with Chris Ballard to hear what he had to say for inquiring about a player who obviously comes with a lot of baggage.
And your thoughts on what Ballard had to say about the situation?
Yeah, it was interesting. I can actually pull up the quote here and read it to you all if you give me 1 second, KB, because I thought it was, kind of weird that he initially defended it the way that he did. Because when I asked about it, he said, well, we look into everybody. And I'm like, well, yes, that makes sense. But this somebody has 8 felonies currently, and nothing has been decided yet. I think that's the part that's interesting. I'm not sitting up here saying that Tyrion Arnold should never play again in the NFL. He should never play for the Colts. I'm just saying, well, it's kind of nuanced because you don't know what's going to happen. And so looking at it here, here's what Ballard said. When I said, well, hey, he has these charges, his response was he hadn't been convicted. We look at every player that hits the market, and you got to dig into these issues. Unfortunately, people get charged in the court of opinion before it goes through the court system, so we have to be able to do our research. He said, hey, we do it throughout the draft process as well. But, again, my only sticking point is there hasn't been a resolution, so what's the point in even inquiring about this guy unless you think that he's going to beat these charges?
Yeah, obviously it's a complicated topic. Not all of these legal criminal stories are apples to apples by any means. But, whether it's Kareem Hunt or Deshaun Watson, I'm trying to think some of these others the Colts had interest in or I think, were interested in pursuing over the years. They drafted Seth McGowan, arrested for, larceny back in 2020. The Bobby Okereke situation at Stanford. I think I've kind of cited on this over the years of I am totally fine with these organizations doing their homework on these players. And if that homework includes an in-person visit, an in-person workout, so be it. If I were the Irsay Daughters and I were owning the football team and all of a sudden Tyrion Arnold showed up on the Houston Texans and became a Pro Bowl level cornerback, I think I'd like to go to my scouting department and say, hey, part of your job is to be FBI type of investigators. That is some of the reality of this. I mean, you're hiring players. You're paying them a massive sum of money. You got to do background. You got to do homework. And so I think doing that is fine. And, again, I would have some curiosity if I were the owners of saying, okay, give me the why behind this. Is there legit smoke here? Do you feel like there's not smoke here? Why or why not? I have no real issue in that. I think it becomes a different story if you then get on the knee. If you literally say, no, you're wearing the horseshoe.
That's fair.
And again, you never got there with Kareem Hunt, although there was heavy interest. Never got there with Deshaun Watson, although I think there was legit interest. And for now, obviously the Tyrion Arnold situation is not happening. So that's where I probably am a little bit more of the, if it does happen, okay, that opens up a different can of worms. But the homework itself, I think a little bit of it, that's your job is to know every player in the NFL and virtually everything about them that you can. Because when that player becomes available, you have to sit there and say, does this improve our football team? And do you feel like as a character, moral, whatever, individual, human, that it checks that box as well? So I did want to make sure we mentioned that because I know it was one of the kind of the lingering things from the Ballard press conference that caught some attention back on Tuesday. Mark, did you say Joel Erickson in person at 9 o'clock?
That's what he told me.
Did you see what happened to the Brewers yesterday?
Oh, I did. That's why I was kind of hoping the Cubs would take the third game of the 4-game series against the Cardinals, get some footage on the NL Central race.
now you're starting to teeter on a little bit too much cups for my liking here. On this
You keep
morning,
bringing
if
it
I'm
up.
gonna be totally honest. Well, I brought up the
that's a
Brewers.
you. Raise your hand. That's
I
on
brought
you.
up the Brewers. I didn't bring up your cups. We're going to get back to football. We're going to focus on day 2, Colts training camp, live here at the Drop Light campus at Grand Park. That is where we are. It is the Fan Morning Show. Gates open in 15 minutes. Second practice, I should say, of camp, an hour and 15 away. Much more. Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, on-site engineer Cam Blankenship, Mark Dykton back in studio.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
Westfield, Indiana. That's where we will be the rest of this week, Monday, Tuesday, next week. Those coincide with morning practices here at the Droplight Grand Park campus. Gates going to open up here in less than 10 minutes. Fans, I can see them lining up already. And day 2 of Colts camp, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., the second practice. Do they go full pads Saturday or not till Monday? Monday? Thank you, Casey Valier. Monday. I forget if the CBA was 3 practices or 4. So, yeah, that Monday morning 10 a.m. practice. We'll have that here in full path. Boy, I did look at myself in the mirror. I went to the bathroom during the break. Yeah, I do kind of look like the guy you don't want showing up to your poker table.
Yeah, I think it's like when you put the headset on, especially got the brim kind of bent up. You look a little sketch.
Yeah. There's a sketchy look here. I don't know. I think I kind of like it.
I mean, if you like it, I love it.
I don't know if I got a lot of edge to me really in any walks of life. So if I can, rock this and try
You
to.
kind of look like Hunter S. Thompson. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
You look like him.
I did see that, Mark. You like the look, Mark?
I do. You need the cigarette with the cigarette holder, and then you will really pull off the Hunter S. Thompson look.
Yeah. No, that's
Mark, I
that's
think that
100%
KD
true.
looks like he is ready to go on a yacht somewhere and mingle.
You got your boat shoes,
He
Kev?
looks like he's like he's going to go to what is that Rick's nearby?
Sperry's
Go get
Shout out to
you-
Rick.
in the luggage. No.
No boat. I don't know if Hoka shoes. By the way, this is how old I'm getting. I thought I got a birthday coming up here in a few months. I got Christmas, and I feel like I'm just always like I don't need anything.
You're a dad now.
36 years old.
Yeah.
But I literally thought to myself, I need new Hokas. I mean, that's how old I am.
I ain't gonna lie, that is some old people talk right there.
But my toe feels so much better ever since I started wearing these Hokas.
Yeah.
That's a free ad for Hokas right there.
I'm sure they're listening.
10 a.m., our start time here at practice. Shout out, James, to Jonathan Owens. He caught my eye a little bit yesterday. The veteran safety coming over in the offseason made a couple of different plays, and really that safety battle. I know Jake had A.J. Halsey, the rookie from LSU, on yesterday. The guy that actually got the starting reps yesterday was Hunter Wooler, the 7th-round pick out of Wisconsin from 2 years ago. So Wooler, Halsey, Owens, the spot next to Cam Bynum, I think it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. And, of course, Jonathan Owens, for our culture listeners out there, the husband of Simone Biles.
Yes, I would love to be referred to by my wife one day and her accomplishments. I want to be able to, what they say, marry up a little bit and get a little bit out of my league. But as far as the actual football, yeah, I do think it's not a foregone conclusion that A.J. Halsey will just start next to Cam Bynum. And perhaps some of that experience is what you would prefer on the back end. We went through a similar situation a few years ago with Nick Cross. I want to give A.J. Halsey a little bit more credit there because I thought he was just a more accomplished player. In college, had played more reps than Nick Cross. But it took Nick Cross a couple years to kind of figure it out. And with where the Colts are right now, they don't have that luxury. So if it is a Jonathan Owens, if it is a Wanye Thomas or someone like that, it wouldn't totally shock me that one of those two is starting next to Cam Bynum.
One defensive item to note yesterday, again, C.J. Allen is on the PUP list. So that is the rookie linebacker from Georgia who is thought to be the quarterback of the defense. His absence isn't expected to be very long. The linebacker group did rotate a lot. I would say the main starters, though, James, were Hakeem Davis-Gaither, a veteran free agent signing who has ample history with Lou Anarumo, and then Bryce Betcher, the 4th-round linebacker out of Oregon. For what it's worth, it did look like Davis-Gaither was doing more of the communicating with the defense. So, I bring that up because Anarumo history, that's rich. That is strong in his eyes. We saw it last year. He brought in several players that had history with him from his Cincinnati days. Davis-Gaither falls into that category. So just something to keep an eye on. Obviously, they drafted Allen and Betcher, so clearly Anarumo has an affinity for them. But, as we see that linebacker position play out, that's another something that I'm going to be keeping my eye on. But, hell, could we see another rookie starter? I mean, can you imagine? On defense, Allen, Betcher, those are your 2 linebackers. Justin Wally's never played a snap in the NFL at nickel.
So count him as like a rookie.
And then A.J. Halsey potentially at strong safety. That would be 4 of your 11 starters, all in the second, third levels of your defense who have never played a snap in the NFL. And again, Hunter Wooler, I have to say, is knocking on that door as kind of your 12th or 13th defender, and he's never played a snap
Yeah.
in the NFL.
It's kind of crazy. It definitely gives you a little bit of pause, but we kind of knew they were going to be in this position, at least to some degree, Kevin, when they shipped off a lot of team captains and starters and people that had been here and kind of been mainstays here for a number of years. You know, actually, speaking of Justin Wally, he's taking over for Kenny Moore. Are you surprised that Kenny Moore hasn't signed yet?
A little bit, but I kind of get into this debate with veterans each year, and I know it sounds, a little terse maybe, James, but, do you just wait for the big injury? Do you wait for the desperate team out there?
Yeah.
Is there a little bit in your mind of hey, I only have this much in the fuel tank? I get that building chemistry and being with the team in camp in late July could be beneficial, but physically, I'll show up a month before the season starts. Now, this is an awful analogy, but like Xavier Howard last year.
Yes.
The Colts signed him, mid-August, late August?
And he was starting right away.
Now, he was not good, to be clear, but still.
He walked away.
That's kind of what you see with some of these veterans. Joel A. Erickson from the Star, I believe he is going to join us coming up 9 o'clock hour here in person. Gates about to open. I love that drum line they brought the fans in yesterday here at Colts City. I thought that was a nice twist.
Yeah, I saw a video that the Colts social team posted of the drum line being over there where the players kind of come in from their team facility to the field, and it looked like Sauce Gardner really enjoyed himself with that. Probably was a little surprised at all the pageantry, but we do things a little bit different here at Drop Light Grand Park.
We'll have to ask Sauce about that. He's scheduled to join us here coming up on the show mañana. All right, we'll get you set. Final hour of the show. What are we looking for? Day 2 of Colts camp. Much more. Again, Joel A. Erickson from the Star scheduled to join us. We are live in Westfield. Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. The Andy Moore Group Campus in Avon, Rockville Road. That place is always rocking, and the Andy Moore Group Campus is located right off the Rockville Road. When I say campus, 4 brands: Toyota, Nissan, Kia, and how about the Volkswagen brand? Shout out to Mike, their GM over there. Certainly stop in there and say hello, mention my name, and Mike said, how about $500 off what you're going to purchase? So, again, mention my name, GM Mike there at the Volkswagen dealer in Avon. 0% APR on Atlas and Tiguan. Any German make, they're going to service right there on site, so you got to love that aspect to them. So it's the Andy Moore Group Campus. It's Rockville Road in Avon. Nissan, Toyota, Kia, Volkswagen. Tell them Kevin Bowen sent you.
know my stilo. Went from 10 G's for blow to 30 G's a show to I never seen before, so Jesus, get off the notorious.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
Gates open here, Westfield, Indiana, the Droplight Grand Park campus where we are at. Day 2 of Colts training camp getting started here at the top of the hour. Joel A. Erickson from the Star going to join us here to chat about what we saw on day 1. James, this is from Kyle on the text line. What do you guys know about wide receiver number 12? My son got his autograph yesterday. That would be one Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Well, shout out to your son on getting an autograph. It's always a cool moment. As far as Nick Westbrook-Akine goes, isn't he a former IU player?
Former IU player, I believe married a Brownsburg girl, if you want to get into the personal life. And I think he took his in-laws to the national title. You want to talk about marrying up? How about that?
There you go. But as far as the actual on-field production, it was lacking last year with the Dolphins. Pretty much didn't do anything really of note. Kevin, kind of a weird year for him. But the year prior to that with the Titans, he had 9 receiving touchdowns. And so I guess if you're the Colts, you're thinking veteran presence. Can he kind of rekindle some of that success he had with your division rival?
Yeah, I mean, there is a I think when they signed him, I kind of called him like a poor man's Michael Pittman Jr., to his game. Stylistically, I think they're kind of similar in player. So if I'm going to parse out a wide receiver depth chart right now, obviously Alec Pierce went healthy, Josh Downs, and then I think Ashton Doolin is probably your 3. I'd probably go Laquan Treadwell next, former first-round pick who has had little offensive role in the NFL in recent years. And then Westbrook-Akine's in the mix. Maybe Deion Burks, 7th-round pick out of Oklahoma. Do you go to Anthony Gould, who's been on the team for a couple years, a former draft pick there? Eli Pancol, again, shout out to the Pendleton native. He got some decent run, I thought, at times yesterday. But as much as I think there is a worriness to that wideout group from many, boy, what a great opportunity these guys are getting. I mean, a golden opportunity. Without Pierce right now, you got wide receivers getting reps with Daniel Jones that even Daniel Jones is going to be looking around and saying, really? You want me to throw to these guys? Did you see what Javarius Ward and Sauce Gardner did to them yesterday?
I'm sorry, KB. I got distracted. Did you see that Mark screenshot us?
No.
So he screenshot our live stream, and the caption is, when the unks see Shorty walking down the street. And I have my head turned.
Mark.
And you have your hat looking like you're a couple of high noons in.
Yeah, I was blocking the sun there,
yeah,
to be fair.
So, no shorties, just surveying the land.
Joel, can I see those binoculars that you just brought up there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Joel A. Erickson from the Star with us here. Look at these things. I mean, you want to talk varsity binoculars, and you want to talk JV.
Okay, so can we
look at James Boyd's. Oh, James, look at this. Wow, now you guys same brand here?
We might.
You guys are. Tasco?
Yeah, I just figured.
You care if I test them out?
No, go ahead.
Go for it.
I've had these since I came out of the womb, I feel like.
I just feel like when Joel shows up with those binoculars.
Oh, man, he can see the nose hairs on these
That's
people.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He
Look
can
at
see
that.
everything.
I got the security guard. I can see everything right now.
Yeah,
This is
that's the
Joel.
goal. The goal is to really get way into the
now,
forest over there.
Are you using this on game day?
Yeah.
Because we are so high up at Lucas Oil.
Yes, especially for – actually, we're so high up at Lucas Oil, I actually use it for, plays. I don't do that in every stadium, but I watch, the offense and defensive lines through the binoculars a lot.
Oh, really? So you watch the play through the binoculars?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, okay.
A lot of
really?
times.
All right, that's interesting.
No, there's a reason why I call him Coach Joel. This is Joel A. Erickson joining us from Indy Star, but I have not jokingly learned a lot of football from Joel. And so, Joel, we were talking.
You guys got some nice binocs.
Earlier, yes, I think it's a good investment. I had to invest in those when I was doing high school sports, especially because, as you all know, if you think that 3 is an 8 and you write that this kid scored a touchdown, Mama ain't gonna be happy the next day in the paper.
Mr. Erickson will be in your email.
You got to get it like Black Friday. That's when you got to get when you got to get it's Cyber Monday, whatever that is. That's when you get the big binoculars.
So, Joe, we were discussing earlier the wide receiver room. Obviously lighter without having Alec Pierce out there. How would you assess just what you saw and maybe some of the combinations of people that were out there, because they weren't exactly household names even for the Indianapolis area.
Yeah, I think the thing that stuck out to me was it feels like, to me, they have a lot of fours. They have a lot of guys that you'd think of as a four.
That's a good way to put it.
I love Ashton Doolin, maybe like borderline unconditionally because of the way he plays special teams. But, he just the number of production in terms of catches over the course of his career, we just haven't seen him play that 3 role. Laquan Treadwell, same, like he's got if you were in the SEC 10 years ago, you remember a certain version of Laquan Treadwell that we haven't really seen in the NFL. Nick Westbrook-Akine, even with the Titans, was kind of a 4. Like, it's just they don't have a guy that you feel good about if Pierce has to miss time. I think that's the thing that stuck out yesterday is the offense rolls out, Pierce isn't out there, it's Downs, it's Warren, and then you're going, oh, man, I don't feel like I can necessarily depend on one of these guys to go 5 catches, 65 yards, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty bullish on the cornerback duo. Like I was writing back in the spring, Joel, that I think it can be elite, Gardner and Mooney. And I think the final team period yesterday, you saw that. Now, again, the context, and we've kind of brought this up throughout the morning, it's like, well, look who they were going up against.
Yeah.
Like, this sounds wild to say, but Mooney Ward, in the last 3 years of his NFL career, has caught more balls in a game than Laquan Treadwell has.
That's crazy. I did not realize that.
Laquan Treadwell plays wide receiver. Mooney Ward plays cornerback. Mooney has 5 interceptions. Treadwell has 1 catch.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
But that's the reality right now of your room. And so, boy, it's July 30th, but I'm like, by August, what are we not talking about another wide receiver addition? And I say that if Pierce is back and integrated into it, I understand Shane Steichen can scheme some things up, and Tyler Warren is Tyler Warren, but boy, if I'm Daniel Jones, I might say, can we get something else in here?
Yeah, and I just think if you really think back to the way they were playing when the offense was humming before Jones got hurt last year, I know the way people saw it nationally was, they've got Jonathan Taylor, he's rushing for a gazillion yards. That's what's making the offense. If you remember the way those games went, though, it was Jones throwing in opening everything up early in games, and then they would use it was throw to score, run to win. That's what it was. And if that's the offense you're trying to get back to, you got to have the targets. You're going to have the targets. I'm with you. Steichen is really, really good at scheming stuff up, getting guys open. He did a lot of that with Michael Pittman last year. But you also got to have some guys who've got the experience, savvy of being a number 1 or number 2 target to take advantage of what he's setting up for you.
We're lucky to have Joel Erickson in our market here. He's covered the Colts now since 2018, right?
Yep.
2018. And he's with us, him and Nathan Brown, on your Colts daily coverage for the Indianapolis Star. Who means more to the Colts in 2026, Alec Pierce or DeForest Buckner?
I think it's Alec Pierce, and just because if you think about, Josh Downs is a middle, intermediate, short type target. Tyler Warren is like, you can stretch the field with Tyler Warren, but not in a way that forces the defense to do something. You're usually taking advantage of it. Who else? We just talked about the receivers. Who else is going to force you to back your defensive backs off and let those guys eat underneath?
Yeah, he creates a higher ceiling, literally.
He just from
the shell of the defense.
I think the other thing that people don't realize is just how unique he is in the NFL as a whole. Having that guy on your offense, this is a league where every defense is essentially built to take away the big play and limit that, make you dink and dunk. And Pierce can get deep even when teams are doing that, and it pushes teams back even further because they don't want to give it up. I think just for this offense, I think it's more important. I think if Buckner can play at the level we're used to seeing him play, we saw last year how big that is for the pass rush. But what this offense needs in terms of getting people backed off, getting people away from the line of scrimmage for Taylor, for Warren, for Downs, I think Pierce is more important.
Again, that is the voice of Joel Erickson, part of the Colts coverage at Indy Star alongside Nathan Brown. Joel, I'm glad you're joining us. You'll be here for 45 minutes like you were with Jake yesterday.
God, that sounds like hell. Can you imagine? I mean, what's Joel supposed to say when Jake asks him to stay for another second?
I love it, but boy, I was thinking, man, it's getting a little empty here, and Joel's still in there talking.
I've said this before though. Jake and I have the exact same sense of humor, so I'm all in.
So you're not being held hostage?
No.
Okay.
He had a pun on the defensive line coach's name yesterday that I should not have laughed nearly as hard as I did.
You are perfect for Jake because you laugh at all of those great
I told you, Joel
jokes.
is the #1 Colts reporter whose online presence is opposite of how he is in real life. And I admire it. He's very professional, and I think that all of his reporting is great. But the radio, the workroom, and the press box is usually filled with the Joel Erickson cackle laugh at some point throughout our coverage. But Joel, on a more serious note, not a laughing matter, when it comes to Daniel Jones and the rollout that he did yesterday, the scramble that he had, how significant do you think that was for perhaps us to see it? I'm sure they've probably seen it before, but to see that in as close to a game setting as we have since he's gotten injured.
Yeah, I think it's huge. We've kind of been now a couple months now of knowing that he's ahead of schedule. He's ahead of where we thought he was. But I was thinking yesterday about what we were thinking at the end of the season, like when Chris Ballard did his State of the Colts or whatever. And I remember like talking in the media room with you guys about, well, how can they bet? How can Carly Ursay-Gordon bet on trying to get back to where they were offensively if we don't know if the quarterback's going to play? And now it's the second day of training camp, and I would be shocked. Like it almost have to be a different injury based on what we've seen so far from Jones as far as him being there. And I think that it'd be hard to underrate how important that is to have him know that he's going to play. He still has some way to go. I think he said yesterday he's got some strengthening to do in the calf, that kind of thing. But the movement we saw yesterday, like, sure, maybe that's not the scramble we saw against the Falcons or whatever, but that scramble against the Falcons was actually far more rare last season than people want to say. Like, they didn't really run him for most of that time. He was throwing. He was playing from the pocket. And the fact that he can move in the pocket, move out of the pocket, and make throws is really what they need. The scrambling
I think that's
is a bonus.
the mobility that they need. Not we're going to do a QB RPO or some read option stuff. It's that part that you're alluding to.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things is when he had the fractured fibula last year, one of the biggest pieces of the offense that they lost was not being able to move the pocket, not being able to do some of that Tyler Warren stuff where you bootleg him out and kind of let Warren figure out which level he's going to attack. They couldn't do that. From what we saw yesterday, they can do that. He did those rollouts and stuff like that. The Colts have used him as a pocket passer. They didn't do the quarterback run stuff. Remember last year in the fall, everyone was going, well, when are they going to break out that package? When are they going to break out that package? It never came. And I think the other thing is the injury history suggests that's probably why you don't break out that package.
Do you still have that Brewers beater that I wore?
Oh yeah,
a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
I love that thing. That thing was nice. I'm a little nervous that my upper chest might expose it. You know, I've had a few more pops in the last couple of years there, but that was a nice looking shirt.
I do still have it. I haven't worn it to any games this year because we haven't been to one that was just like 95 or 96 and that type of thing. My 3-year-old did go tarps off at a Brewers game in Milwaukee.
Just because?
Well, there were kids in front of him that
be clear, upper top?
Yeah. There were kids in front of him that started 10, 11-year-olds that started doing it. And he was just like, well, yeah, if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing. So we have video of Watley.
Look at that.
Spinning the jersey.
He belongs in a college football student section coming up here in a month.
Watley would be a perfect hype man for college football.
Gosh, well, I said on air the other day that, I want one of the Erickson boys to marry one of the Bowen girls, but after hearing that about Watley, now I'm a little nervous on that. I'm all for some fun and some entertainment, but now I'm starting to sweat a little bit more than I usually do at 9:15 in the morning. James and I were talking about this earlier, and again, Joel Erickson from the Star with us here live. Gates open, 10 o'clock, practice start time, day 2. There is some serious youth at the second and third levels of this defense. Mm-hmm. They could run out on September 13th. I don't think I'd be that shocked if they ran out a rookie at linebacker in C.J. Allen, maybe another rookie at linebacker in Bryce Betcher, a rookie at nickel corner in Justin Wally, and I say rookie in quotes there, it's a second year, potentially another rookie at strong safety in A.J. Halsey, and then Hunter Wooler, who has never played a snap in the NFL. That is 5 dudes that have never taken a snap. So I bring that up, and let me toss Anthony's question in here. Anthony on the text line goes, I realize the number of defensive starters with zero experience in the NFL is a problem, but as a fan, I welcome it. We know the ceiling of this defense with run it back guys. It wasn't good enough. I get there now is a new basement, but there's also an unknown ceiling, and that is at least something to be intrigued by.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, especially if you think about that Kansas City game, because that period you were talking about earlier where we saw Ward and Gardner break up passes almost back-to-back reminded me a lot of that Kansas City game. Those two corners, when they were healthy together, they take away the outside of the field, and they force everything to the middle. And honestly, the guys that they had last year couldn't take advantage of it. We were talking to Cam Bynum yesterday, and if those guys are healthy, it's going to force offenses to attack a certain part of the field that the Colts can then pack with players. And realistically, Nick Cross was a great run defender.
Like quantity of players.
Yeah, just number of guys.
Yeah.
And they could have done that last year too, but Zaire Franklin, Nick Cross, their coverage, just they couldn't really take advantage of it, even though you could put the numbers in there. We don't know for sure that these rookies can do that. But at least there's the possibility of them doing that. I'm with Anthony on this.
Noah here on the text line, last one. James, I know you responded to him, but I thought that was interesting. Chris Ballard just kind of dropped that fibula injury for Daniel Jones occurred during the Atlanta game last year, and you guys both brought up that scramble late in that Atlanta game. I mean, that is a huge play in that game, and by all accounts, I assume he was compromised to some level, obviously adrenaline in the game, et cetera, et cetera. But then that's what started, the 2 or 3 games he then played with that injury before the torn Achilles?
Honestly, I think we've all kind of suspected that that's what was going on because a fractured fibula that arises out of the bye week and out of nowhere is honestly maybe a little more frightening to me.
Slammed a 6-iron against his fibula.
That's a little more frightening to me than you do wonder in the moment, like, is this I think baseball has a lot of weird injuries where someone like drops a suitcase on their foot or whatever over the course of the year. Like, you're wondering, like, what could possibly have happened? It happening in the Atlanta game makes a lot more sense.
The NL Central team you hate the most?
It's the Cubs.
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
It's
You
the
were breaking
Cubs.
up. Sorry, one more time. You were breaking up. The NL Central team you hate the most?
It's the Cubs. It is. Here's the thing.
Is he asleep back in studio?
No, I don't know.
I'm just thinking
Cubs
about things
fans
right now.
Cubs fans want you to hate them the most.
Well, Mark gets quiet. He's gonna pull that
Kevin,
audio.
KB, as somebody who also lives in your partial Reds Cubs country, Cubs fans are like aggressive. They attack you even if your team is ahead of them in the standings.
They're that bison that got a hold of that guy out in the out in the wilderness.
They force it. They want you to hate them.
Mark, do you care to weigh in?
Well, I mean, there's a reason why when the Cubs go to Milwaukee, it's called Wrigley Field North, because the Brewers fans all of a sudden dissipate and the Cubs fans just overtake it.
What do you mean? Watley's got his shirt
See,
off.
He might be amongst all the
This
all
is
the
it
Cubs
right
fans.
there. Right? This is it right there. It's the none of this matches up with like Brewers attendance numbers
talk
and stuff
that
like
talk,
that.
Joel. Talk that
You
talk.
know, it's the smallest market, and they usually finish in the top 12 or 13 in attendance.
Talk to him.
Okay. Well,
And,
we'll see how they do when the playoffs
man.
get here, if they can advance to a round.
He's just making my point.
Boy,
yes.
this is the valedictorian debating
he's
the
just
debating the
making
dumb
my point.
jock. That's
He's
what we're
just
going
making
with
my
here.
point. They want you. They want to be the villain. That's
Well,
what they want.
if you ever want to get into the debate and figure out who's got the better argument here, just ask Joel how many ways you can make $1 out of change.
Oh gosh, that was one of Mark's lowest moments.
Oh, my
I
Can I ask
Please
Joel,
provide
can I ask
the
Joel a
context.
serious baseball question as we near the trade deadline?
Feel free.
Do you want Freddie Peralta back? There's rumors that he could be possibly going back to Milwaukee. Do you want him back?
I think Freddie would be much better in Milwaukee, just because Chris Hook, the pitching coach, knows him. I don't think that it's realistic because to do that deal, David Stearns has to send back the same player for like a quarter of the return that he gave up to get him. And I just think with the way the Mets are and the way he's getting killed, that it's not going to happen. But I would take Freddie Peralta back because I think I just think the Brewers know him well enough to get better out of him than the Mets have.
Monday trade deadline, is that right?
Monday, I believe 6 p.m. is what I heard.
Speaking of Major League Baseball news from a local angle, this from Emily Walden, who covers the Tigers. Per source, the Tigers are calling up Max Clark.
Oh, wow.
So how about
He's the Franklin
that?
kid?
The
Franklin
Franklin
Central?
kid who was just at Victory Field here within the last month. Mark, did you see him at all that week with Toledo?
I did not.
He hit a home run in his first at-bat.
Yeah, I know he had a very nice showing at Victory Field. We did not see that series, though.
Yeah, Franklin Community High School, not Franklin Central. Just don't want to start a Southside rivalry here. But, yeah, how about that? Max Clark getting the call-up. Former top 5 pick there at the age of whatever
He's
he
got
is,
to be
21.
like 21.
He's 21.
That's fun. You know, the Milwaukee Brewers also have a local on the roster right
really?
now. Yes.
Who's that?
Craig Yoho from Fishers.
Oh, yeah.
Is in the bullpen and pitching well. He's pitching very well. Do the Cubs have any Indiana ties, Mark?
They had
I
Schwarber,
can tell you.
not anymore.
I can tell you.
They had Schwarber like 6 years ago.
I know. I'm
This
saying
is like
not
me
anymore.
trying
I don't
to-
think they have anybody.
This is like me trying to name my 10 baseball players that one day in the media room, and I said Ben Zobrist. And you told me active players.
Yeah,
so I couldn't count 'em.
the Brewers play at Cincinnati in, I think, early September, and we need to get over there because my kids need to be like, hey, we live next to Fishers High School where Craig Yoho played.
Oh, he would love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Joel A. Erickson, I love your work, man. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Day 2 Colts training camp. We appreciate Joel hopping on with us here live at Grand Park. Colts City starting to come to life. That's a grown man running a 40-yard dash. That man has got to be north of 40 years old. Man, and he looked like he did that injury-free. I mean, he did that in cargos, a hooded sweatshirt underneath his Sauce Gardner jersey.
Did he do better than James
That's our
did?
Toledo crew.
And his sunglasses on.
That's our Toledo crew.
Oh, is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're back again.
Because he's got the gloves on. Did you
Yeah.
beat James? He beat James.
Oh,
beat
I got
James.
smoked.
Look at that. 4-1. Whoa.
Oh, I'm definitely not believing that.
Man, Deion Sanders over there. 4-1 on the
Signed him
40-yard
up.
dash, man.
This is Cap.
Woo.
They had the big hats on anyway, so it's Big Cap.
Man, the Colts do need some wide receiver help there. His
There
son's
you
got
go.
the wide receiver glove hands on, so we'll see. Mark, let's get it set. Morning checkdown time.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I mean, 4-1,
Again,
that has to be wrong. There's no way.
I think you just corrected with a 5-5. Was that what he threw up there,
Yeah,
James?
I think 5-5, 5-4, something like that. 'Cause I'm like,
4-1, he's
4-1.
getting $100 million from the NFL.
The daily walk around the field, the Colts offensive line coaches, Tony Sperano Jr., Chris Watt, getting ready for practice. Still a few days away from the full pads coming on for the Hog Mollies, but nonetheless, an hour-long practice about to commence here at Grand Park. And James, anything storyline-wise that you're curious about here on day 2?
I'm still very curious about the defense. I want to see, okay, will we see more rotations with some of the starting pieces along those absences or in conjunction with those absences from C.J. Allen? Will DeForest Buckner perhaps get in on some team drills today, things like that? But I'm very curious about Bryce Betcher in particular because he took a lot of first-team reps yesterday, and I wonder if that continues today.
You know, one thing I always like about kind of day 2 and day 3 is, okay, what position battles are real? You know, like what are the 50-50 reps here, or what are other, you know, is Arden Key the guy at defensive end? He continues to be the guy. He was again yesterday. He was in the spring. You know, like those are some of the storylines I'll be watching for. And again, when does DeForest Buckner migrate up to the team reps? Speaking of team, the Indiana Fever, one of the hottest, if not the hottest in all of the W right now. They will take on the Portland Fire coming up tomorrow night. 8.5-point favorite. And you were, speaking of trade deadlines, I asked you earlier, W trade deadline coming up Sunday. You don't think anything really for the Fever, though?
No, I don't think so. I think trades in the WNBA are very hard to make. You don't really see a whole lot of them in season. And I think at this point you have to bank on your historically great offense and hope that your defense can just be passable, perhaps a little bit better than average, to get you where you want to go come playoff time.
Mark, yesterday, Major League Baseball, your Cubs looked like they were going to get it done with Pete Crow Armstrong doing Pete Crow Armstrong things, but then the Cardinals got the last laugh.
You summed it up pretty well. Yeah, bullpen fell apart. In particular, Zach Thornton fell apart, giving up 3 runs in the bottom of the 10th. So, yeah, the Cardinals walk it off. The Cubs can still take the series in the 4-game finale later this afternoon.
Just so we're not only talking NL Central, which I know bothers some people here. White Sox over the Yankees 6-5 yesterday. And the Guardians, they did beat my Red Lakes 6-1. Indianapolis Indians 5-3 winners down in Louisville. What do we got? Big Ten Media Day. I think Kurt Signetti drops a little SEC hammer today. I know Sig has maybe not been full WWE promoter over the last 12 months, but he knows when to chime in. And I think he's going to fire one up today. I've got Mark. I asked you to rate it earlier on a 1 to 10 scale. How big of a dump will he take on the SEC? And you gave it a 7.5.
Yeah, 7.5 scale. I'm saying 7.5 dumpage on the SEC, especially with the SEC. You know, all these rumors that they would possibly branch off from the NCAA and all that stuff. So I think he's got some fire in him. I think Sig's been locked up for a couple months. He's got some thoughts that I think he'll air out today.
Locked up for a couple months.
I know he committed a crime during the offseason.
What is he, the walruses that are
with a 30-pound brick of weed in a evidence room? But he's got some thoughts.
That was definitely one of the stupider
Touché.
pictures I have taken in my life, and
Touché.
why you will never see it.
Touche, as I see the cop cars descending upon Westfield as we speak here. What else we got? Speaking of Big Ten, I guess Purdue. That was IU Big Ten Media Day. For those not totally following that one, it's day 3 up there in Chicago. Carter Smith, Isaiah Jones, Tyreek Tucker, the player appearances alongside of Kurt Signetti. Purdue made the rounds yesterday. And last but not least, speaking of the Boilers, north of the border, Vancouver, they went 4-0 as a team up there on their foreign tour. Angela Morian just leaving me hanging. I went for the fist pound, and she made eye contact and looked the other way.
Yeah, she's bougie like that, if you didn't know.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Damn,
so.
Boy. I just leaving hanging, and then she's fully turned the other way, so I didn't, leave it there.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to awkwardly. Do you like the hat or not?
I love the hat, KB.
How about that?
There
What's
you
she
go.
supposed to say?
Right, I hate it.
Oh, Mark, she's honest.
Yeah, Angela is honest. Sometimes those questions
Yeah.
after games get a little blunt.
Yeah, Angela's not my mom here, just going to compliment me for everything.
Remember a few
come
years
on
ago,
there.
she asked a Colts player who shall remain nameless, what cursed the Colts today? Jeez.
Do you believe in sport curses, Angela?
She believed in it that day, apparently.
I don't. I couldn't believe JMV said he believed in sports curses the other day.
He's the most pessimistic, devil-on-the-shoulder person you will ever meet.
Gosh, that's what. Are you not stepping on the line before?
No, I'm not like
are
that
you doing
at
anything
all.
like that?
I'm a positive person. Like when we play pickup basketball, JMV, whenever he misses a shot, it's like he'll never make a shot again.
Yeah, it sounds like World War III.
Yeah, whereas I'm like, next play, brother, next play.
Gosh, you got to be like his life coach out there?
Pretty much. I told you, I'm the angel on the shoulder. He's the devil.
Unbelievable. The devil's Angela just leaving me hanging right there on the old.
And our angel just showed up. Shout out to Coach Rick Venturi.
On the old fist pound. Rick Venturi in the house, and fans starting to show up today. We've got a young Jack Doyle. No, it's a Tyler Warren jersey. Still got my Jack Doyle in me. As Colt City has opened up here on this Thursday morning, 10 a.m., the start time to practice. We'll continue to get you set. Day 2 of Colts camp here at the Droplight Grand Park campus. It's the Fan Morning Show.
Sunshine continues across the area for today. Should be a beautiful afternoon. We'll keep it dry and seasonal, a high at 86. And tonight, clear skies, another quiet evening, very pleasant with a low tonight, down to 66. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Jim O'Brien for The Fan.
with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
We are back here, Westfield, Indiana. That's where we have called home each of the last 3 mornings. We'll do it again tomorrow and then Monday and Tuesday. Unfortunately, I wish we were out here for all 13 of these practices, but that'll be it for us. It starts to kind of shift to more afternoon practices. A week from tonight, actually, is a night practice, 8 o'clock start time here at Grand Park, and then a lot of weekend practices. So I know those are always some fan favorites out there. Speaking of fan favorite, James Boyd, you've been kissing babies and signing autographs during the break there. I saw good Jimmy. I saw Father, Two Sons. Is that Claude over there?
That's Claude.
Let's go. Claude's always got great shirts on.
I know. He's
Great
got
to see him.
the
And I love
AR
that hat. I might rock
shirt.
that tomorrow.
Yeah, he's a dapper man.
He is a dapper man.
See, somebody actually cares about how they look when they come out here. KB.
I'm just here to absorb sweat. Just here to absorb sweat.
Yeah, I had a good time, though. I had a chance to talk to Claude, and I met Denver, whose 2 sons are here as well. Shout out to Trace and Griffin.
Let's go.
They're excited to get out there. I told them, hey, you got to run the 40, and you got to beat me. So we'll see if I get some quicker times out there.
Now, speaking of running the 40, I did happen to see last night as I was scrolling. Actually, it was in the morning. Nellie Bowen was coughing a little bit in the wee hours of the morning. I'm scrolling the old Twitter, and I had kind of forgotten that I still followed a former Colt player who tweeted at you about running the 40-yard dash.
Yes.
Was that the ghost? Was that T.Y. Hilton?
It
Fired
was
some
T.Y.
tweets at you?
Yeah, so I put the video out, and the caption was,
And that video
hey.
was not in slow-mo, to be clear. I just wanted to
Oh,
clarify
come
that.
on. Not in slow-mo.
Okay,
It's real deal. And again, for those listening, I am the fastest media member because everybody talking trash ain't ran. So by default, I'm Speedy Gonzalez compared to y'all. But no, I put it out there laughing at myself, and I did not expect T.Y. Hilton to chime in and say, you have to run this again. So the ghost has spoken, and since he's spoken, I told him, hey, I'll run it again at some point, perhaps on the last day of training camp practice out here at Drop Light Grand Park. It's going to be a sad day, but I love to have a little fun. It's cool to get out here and kind of mingle with the fans. Just remember that, our lives are pretty privileged, Kevin.
I love it. Shout out to Brad yesterday, but 2 Brads actually chatted with, and another Blue Powerade was delivered, and I just am,
You're loading up.
Oh my gosh, I just am the luckiest man in the face of the earth right now with that. So enjoyed chatting with some people yesterday. Alex was out here as well, and again, camp starting to come to life. 10 a.m. the start time here today. For those that missed it earlier, James, and I want to throw Jimmy's question back at you because I thought it was kind of a good way to describe maybe what you saw with Daniel Jones yesterday. But Jimmy asked us, would you say Daniel Jones moved as if you didn't know there was an injury?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say he did move like someone who was not injured. And only he can tell you how close he is to being fully himself again, but I didn't look at any of his movements and think, oh, my God, that's a guy who tore his Achilles. I looked at it sort of like, oh, he's back doing everything normal, and because it was so normal and kind of boring at times, that was a good sign, I think, for where he is in his health.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny after practice. Daniel Jones, who had a legit scramble during practice, he mentioned that he got back to the huddle, and he was kind of curious if Shane Steichen would say anything to him. And Shane did not say anything to him. And, again, that was off limits in the spring. It is, you do not scramble, young man. You are not moving outside of the pocket. So, to me, is there hair more speed he can get to? I mean, sure, I would assume. But the fact that he was willing and the Colts were willing to call up rollouts, movement plays, and he didn't look like me moving out there, that to me, I think, was an important note. I would say there was some good on the rollouts. He found Josh Downs for a completion. And then there was also some bad, some rust. He had an overthrow over the middle of the field at one point that I thought easily could have been picked by Cam Bynum. So, movement-wise for Daniel Jones, the fact that he was willing to do that, I thought was a strong sign. Brian Mason is running these fields every morning, man. Just part of his routine. Special teams coordinator.
Yes. Isn't he in Indiana native?
He is Zionsville,
well?
Right? Shout out to the Zionsville.
Shout out to the Eagles.
Right there.
Yes.
Are we going to get a kicking competition started today? Blake Groupie, Spencer Schrader?
I was going to say, I know you enjoy Erickson are itching for it. Do you know who could always call the kick before it went through the uprights whenever we were in the press box? Chris Woodlick.
Really?
Shout out to one of the GOATs of our Indiana.
Just recently
media
hung it
sports.
up, right?
I know. But I tell you, I'll never forget that Thursday night game in Denver where it was all field goals. This man was calling it before the PA announcer did. That thing is good. I'm like, how can you tell?
Boy, that's tough to do, especially from a side angle there.
There's a reason why he might have some things named after him someday.
And that Denver press box is not a great view. You're kind of in the corner there, aren't you?
I know. We're on an angle, and he just saw that thing straight through.
So we'll see if that kicking competition gets underway. One thing to note about it, and again, it's a kicking competition, but I'll be the first one to say kickers matter, certainly in the NFL. But, James, they didn't kick yesterday.
Yeah.
We have 13 of these practices up here. You're probably only going to kick 3, 4, maybe 5 times.
Right.
So when you do kick, those days matter even more. This isn't like the competition of safety where you got 13 practices and you're going to get 13 opportunities
you just
here.
Rotate them in. No.
Right. This is a little bit different. Speaking of battles, just to update everybody on where we stand kind of quarterback 2-wise, Shane Steichen's words after practice yesterday. Anthony Richardson Sr. and Riley Leonard will continue to split those reps. Now, yesterday, it was actually Riley that got a few more of the second-team reps than Anthony. I would note, I thought Anthony had a nice day yesterday, had a nice throw to an undrafted free agent, Rylan Sharp, late in practice, but just something to keep an eye on. But I'll continue to reiterate, it's those preseason games where I think you're going to see a lot of potential opportunities from Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard. One thing I did want to ask Joel, and maybe we'll get to this at some point with Shane Steichen, James. What do you think Shane wants in his backup? Like, how do you view your backup quarterback? Do you view it as, no, I want safety, I want security, I want as less volatility as possible? Because your backup could go into a game with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and you're nursing a 4-point lead.
Or do you want the high ceiling, explosive, game changer?
And let me preface by saying I get that Riley Leonard is probably it's not like his volatility is that much different than Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
He still is a guy that's played, one game in the NFL, a game and a half in the NFL. It's not like you have some aging veteran that you're comparing Richardson to. But like if Steichen lacks trust in Richardson, would he make him the backup? Because you do have to designate who your backup is and who your quarterback 3 is on a game day.
Right.
I'm just curious how Shane views that.
Yeah, I think if I had to guess, Kevin, it'll all come down to, okay, which quarterback do I feel most comfortable to be the least volatile, to be the least erratic? Because we know that was a big deciding factor with Daniel Jones winning the job last year over Anthony Richardson. Anthony can make all these amazing throws, but can you make the simple throws routinely? And only they really know how much progress Riley has made since getting some game time last year. So we'll see how the reps get divvied up today, and I'll probably expect that it's flip-flopped a little bit with this day being Riley's kind of opportunity to be the first backup up behind Daniel Jones.
Offensive line, quarterbacks out on the field. Venture to guess there's a few more. My view a little bit restricted, but day 2 of Colts training camp is underway here. Colt City's been open for about 40 minutes. Plenty beating the time of James Boyd on the 40-yard dash. And we'll get things started coming up at 10 a.m. One final time here from the Droplight Grand Park campus. It's a Fan Morning Show on a Thursday.
sip the juice.
This is the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd.
Mark, great work, as always, on the re-entries on this Thursday morning. Day 2. Colts camp, we are here in Westfield, Indiana. Things about to get underway as players are on the practice field. Colts City coming to life. I did see some highlights kind of around the league. Sounds like Marvin Harrison Jr. is kind of having a rough start to training camp.
Yeah, I saw some cut-ups of him just dropping some passes, and I can't say that these were tough catches at all. Just seems like a mental block for him right now.
He was leaving. He left that game early, right, with a concussion last year, Colts-Cardinals?
Yes.
It was a crazy game. Jacoby Brissett almost leading the Cardinals to that upset victory inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. So, again, things getting underway here. Coming up in a bit, Jake will have you 10-1. Yesterday it was A.J. Halsey. Today sounds like Justin Wally going to join him. And again, James, the Wally role is huge for this season. I mean, he is a pseudo starter. The thought is Kenny Moore II is gone, and Justin Wally will be the new nickel cornerback. And this time last year, he was already making quite the impression. I didn't see him really get targeted much at all yesterday, but the fact that he's out there coming off the torn ACL in less than a year obviously is promising, and he is a vital cog to this operation.
Absolutely, and he's someone who they were very high on last year before he went down, so we'll see what kind of progress he's made, not only from a health standpoint, but just being around the team for a full year, learning the defense, if that accelerates how quickly he can acclimate it to his on-field performance.
So, again, morning practice today, morning practice coming up tomorrow, Saturday. They'll go around 4 o'clock. Off day Sunday. I know some rain in the forecast this weekend, so we'll obviously keep you updated if those practice times change at all. Monday and Tuesday will be also morning practices, and then we're done here with the show. We a week away from Mark Dykton.
So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Part of me thinks I need another week.
Hey,
you sound like Mark when he goes on vacation.
PTO, man. You're okay.
No,
My legs have never breathed more with
some.
the lack of pants on, so
I was
I
going
very
to say,
much enjoyed
if you
it.
take PTO
yeah, I'm a little
in
nervous.
the month of July or August, you might have some questions to answer to the old boss man.
I did take a lot of PTO in July, and I am taking some PTO coming up here in August, so I guess I will have to sign off on the
Explain yourself.
Boss man. Hey, first.
Well, hey, as long as you're ready, look, we'll look at this like Alec Pierce, DeForest Buckner. As long as you're ready by week 1, we're okay.
Yeah, first day of kindergarten, I got to see Rosie Bowen off to kindergarten, so we'll be taking some PTO.
Is she excited,
here
by the way?
coming up. She's thrilled.
Okay.
Thrilled. Could not be happier.
Do you think she's going to be less thrilled when it's like right in front of her face? Like, I feel like when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'm going to be so tough. Then my parents left, and I was like, who are these people? I'm terrified.
Yeah, I think she, enjoys school, and,
okay.
I mean, she's gone pretty much to
exactly.
9 to 5 sort of preschool here in recent years, so it won't be that foreign to her. But, yeah, they start coming up here in a few weeks. I think Westfield schools are still kind of on that cadence, so you see a lot of kids over here at Colts City as things are getting underway. And Shane Steichen and company overlooking the offensive line. One thing I am curious about, we really haven't touched on this at all, James. We know right now, if you look at this rookie class, C.J. Allen, likely starter. A.J. Halsey at safety, third-round pick. I don't know if likely starter, but I think people believe he'll win that strong safety job when it's all said and done. What about Jalen Farmer? He is the fourth-round pick, the big offensive guard out of Kentucky. We did not see him due to a minor knee ailment back in the spring. He was back practicing yesterday. Do you think he's competing with Matt Gonzalez for that right guard job?
I think competing is an interesting way to phrase it. Yes, because it is camp, but I would say they're pretty confident what Matt Gonzalez can give them. But at the same time, I wonder if there is any sort of letdown with Jalen Travis at right tackle. Would the Colts be open to moving Matt Gonzalez back outside and then inserting Jalen Farmer at that right guard spot? Because we know Matt Gonzalez has some tackle experience in his past, and to give him a little credit there, he wasn't too shabby.
Yeah, I think right now, if we could go pencil, pen, Sharpie, writing out your depth chart with those three writing utensils. I feel pretty comfortable writing Gonzalez and Travis and pen. Borderline Sharpie, to be honest with you. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe there will be a legit competition there, but I think it'll be Gonzalez at right guard. I think Jalen Travis, really, I don't even know if Jalen Travis has any competition. Right. Man for man, like you said, moving Gonzalez out there would obviously have to take some sort of domino effect off the offensive line. But, yeah, it's a unit that needs to be elite, period. It's got to be that. You're paying it that way. You've drafted in that manner. And to be fair to Chris Ballard, he's drafted offensive line about as well as any position group on the roster.
He has, but I do think, to your point, Jalen Travis is quietly stepping into some pretty big shoes. I don't want to pretend like Braden Smith was an all-pro right tackle, but he was very good for a very long time for these Colts.
Boy, this time last year, and maybe we can get Jake Query to hop on the headset here for just a minute, because I feel like this time last year is where Jake Query put on his agent hat. Did Bernard Ryman? Did Bernard Ryman ever give Jake Query the deserved cut?
He paid him in Vegemite.
Austrian Vegemite or Australian Vegemite there?
I went to Vienna, Austria like 8 months ago.
Oh, really?
Free beers the entire time, courtesy of Bernard Ryman. That was
Look
my
at
cut.
that.
That was my cut.
Okay.
Baby. Actually, we were in a restaurant in Salzburg, Austria, and a waiter had a tray of about 12 beers and tripped and absolutely gave Shannon Walsh beer shower.
No way.
Completely doused her.
God.
Completely doused her.
That's a scene from a movie.
So we got it totally. So we got
shattered glass?
On the ground, not on her, but I mean she was completely drenched.
That is a movie scene.
So we were only there for 2 nights, but we got free food and drink for 2 days at this place. So we could say that was Bernard Ryman.
Look at that.
That was my cut from Bernard Ryman.
Refresh my memory. You asked him about his contract, and he got super candid with you, right?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was right here. He was in that, and if I'm not mistaken, and I can't remember the exact specification of it, but he basically took the line of, hey, we haven't had any sort of an agreement, and he kind of, not the hard line, right? But he took the positioning, the negotiating stance. And then literally it was like 2 days later when things accelerated and he was signed.
Yeah.
I think he may have said something along the lines of, like, I'm not married to staying here, if they can't come to an agreement or something along those lines, and then boom.
Yeah, it was funny because I remember when Ryman said that, like, James, I've always said this, like, Jonathan Taylor's not a great holdout guy. Like, you kind of need to be demonstrative. You kind of need be a little diva-y. Bernard Ryman is not that at all. So when he said those comments, I was kind of like, oh, boy, his agent has got in his ear very, very well, and he is negotiating that quite well.
By the way, Kevin, and I hate doing this when people can't see it, but you're a Notre Dame guy. I'm not. Is he wearing a Derek Mays T-shirt, this guy?
Shout out to North Central, Derek Mays. No.
That's not Derek Mays? Does that not look like Derek Mays?
Oh, it's Marcus Freeman.
I can't see the face on it. I can only see
Is
the
that
onesie.
Marcus Freeman at college face? Yeah.
So this is Marcus Freeman pre-hair dye.
Well, I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
I am going there.
So, yeah, Jake, that
from here, doesn't it look like Derek Mays?
Yeah.
As a 1 jersey?
And the number 1 jersey, of course, there. But, yeah, that's a little Marcus Freeman, Ohio State, AI photoshopped on the jersey. Jake, this is the most excited I've been about an Notre Dame football season in my life.
For good reason. Understandable.
Do you mean that?
I think they're going to be really good. I think he's a heck of a coach. I hate Notre Dame, but they're going to be really good. And they don't play anybody, so, I mean, good for them, right?
Oh, shut up. Do you think,
here he goes.
Do you think Mark's naked back in the studio?
They have Chatard week 3, or is it Cecina?
I think it's Sheridan now that Bud Wright's left there.
That's right. They waited until he left, right?
Jake Query, 10-1. He's got you. Justin Wally going to join him. Day 2, Colts training camp in Westfield. Sauce Gardner will be with us tomorrow right here. Thank you for listening.